Guess what day it is?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Danny Mac is here. Matthew Rocchio is here. I'm Randy Karraker. It's great to have you with us. Matthew Rocchio already in our first minute working as our video engineer this morning, making sure that everybody's cameras are straight and aligned and ready to go. And you are free to join us on our Air Alliance Heating and Cooling Team Studio Cam. All you need to do is go to that YouTube thing. Go to youtube.com and type in 101 ESPN STL. You can watch us, and you can also subscribe to our video channel. How are we doing, kids?
I'm doing great. It's Friday. It is a little bit rainy, so for second alert weather, it is quite wet outside today. Breaking news.
Yeah, too wet. What's the forecast look like on our second alert weather, Brooke?
Well, here's the thing is that since we're second alert weather, it takes us a minute to get going on what exactly is happening today. So just give me a minute.
If we were first, it would be different, but we're second.
Exactly.
While Brooke looks up the weather report, can I appreciate that Danny kind of has a Wilson thing going from Home Improvement thing today with the computer. The computer's really close to you on the YouTube thing.
Oh, good.
So it's just the computer, your hat, and then a little bit of eye line right here. So you got kind of like a Wilson thing going.
For all 160 people, I apologize that are on the YouTube page.
You look magnificent.
You know what? I want to tell you, though, I do have a different hat. I've been wearing this this week. I don't think I've done the show without a hat on, and it's SEGS. SEGS for vets, and it's Segways for Vets. I'm involved with them. Mike Kelly, our buddy from down in Mizzou, the voice of the Tigers, is intimately involved with SEGS for Vets. It's just a great thing that they're doing to help the wounded soldiers when they come back and have issues physically, that they're in a Segway to be able to move around and to be able to live their life. And so it's really cool. If you want to get involved, SEGS for Vets.
Nice.
It's really amazing group.
Glad you're involved, and I like the cap.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
sir.
like it a lot. Dan, you do so much with veterans, and I just want to say I greatly appreciate it. Just coming from a military family myself, my dad a Marine, all my family members, Air Force, Army, just about everything you can think of. It really means a lot because a lot of people don't understand that it's about when they come back from overseas or wherever they're doing.
Exactly.
That it's assimilating back into here.
Are you involved with Folds of Honor at all?
We did broadcast from there last year. I do want to get more involved.
And we will this year, too.
Good.
Yes.
I got to tell people that we're going to, but we are.
Make sure that we get a truck out there to broadcast from there in the golf tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we're looking forward to that. Do we have our second alert weather?
Oh, yes. It took me a little bit. It is going to be mostly cloudy today, 63 currently right now, high of 79 this afternoon. So it's going to be pretty cloudy, and that's your weather report.
Brought to you by Brooke Grimsley and Second Alert Weather here on 101 ESPN.
How come we have second whatever
Because you
weather?
get sued if you say the other thing because Channel 4's got it.
Oh, so what do the other TV stations do when they're saying that they're first?
So they're on our 5 on our side, is it?
5 on your side.
They risk jackbooted stormtroopers just beating
Is
down
that
the doors.
right?
Yeah, just you never know.
Yeah, the 2 Fox.
Hey, you said I was a curmudgeon yesterday. That affected me. And when we started this show, I don't do the dancing for the Air Alliance text line. You and Brooke are doing that. And even Matthew was shaking his head like, what the hell's going on here?
I know.
All right, I just want to throw that out there. I'm not the only one.
We've called him Eeyore.
I don't do
as
the
well.
arms with the yo-ho either. I just do yo-ho. I don't do the arms because
you
it
better
reminds me
stick to
too much
the
of the power play dance, which I also don't do.
In a blues
wow.
game, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, Matthew's a bit of a rebel. I don't know if you knew this, Dan.
Don't we talk about that, Brooke? You're right.
He's a bit of a rebel.
Mounting
just
off the
ask
construction crews and everything. Oh, wait, no, that's Brooke.
I was not this morning.
Quite a show
Don't you
coming
try
up
to
for
say
you.
that. Can I clear my name just for 1 second? I was not mouthing off to a construction crew. I was just simply confused this morning, and I was very nice about it because
It was more of a discussion.
it was a discussion, and I just was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go way over here and park way over here then.
Sometimes I have to remember what I do for a living and make a conscious effort to not be a Richard. because I'm very capable of it in a situation that you were in this morning.
Oh, I was super nice this morning. It was more of a discussion and a little bit of a confusion, but I was like, I got to go park.
Yep.
I'll go find somewhere else.
Construction people that think, okay, well, we're working here. We own the place. We aren't letting you in. And so if I were in your situation, I would have said something. Brooke was denied entry into the parking garage, and I would have said, I have a blanking radio show to do. Let me through.
And they would have said, it's going to be 100 out here pretty soon, and the men and women of our crew don't care if you have a radio show.
No, yeah.
Jay Delsing is going to join us at the bottom of this hour at 8:45. We're going to talk to MLS season pass broadcaster Mark Ragondino. He's going to have the call for St. Louis City SC for tomorrow as we take on, Houston Dynamo.
The dreaded Houston Dynamo.
Yep. The Battlehawks also play tomorrow. Anthony Beck, the head coach of the Battlehawks, joins us at 9 o'clock.
Who do they play?
The Battlehawks take on Houston.
Oh, a little Houston too for this
we
weekend.
Yeah.
All righty then.
Yeah,
come on, H-Town, come get a whacking.
Yeah, exactly. Wade Phillips and his crew coming in. And then UFC fighter Charles Johnson, St. Louisan, fighting for the championship, will also join us in the 9 o'clock hour. And a fun thing coming up at 8:15. And you need to think about this, and this is Dan's idea, but just to give you, Dan, tell us what you thought.
Well, we were going to hit on the Kentucky Derby at some point, and we are not Kentucky Derby aficionados.
No.
We can go with horses that we like or the favorite, the non-favorite, or whatever. But I said, because I want to go to a Kentucky Derby. I've never been there. And so I said, why don't we throw out something for the text line of what is the one sporting event or non-sporting event that you want to do before you die? And I think that's something that is kind of interest for a lot of people. It'll get me thinking of other things outside of a Kentucky Derby that I'd like to go to.
So the Oscars or something like that, if you'd like to visit any big non-sporting event too. And you can leave us a mic drop with your 101 ESPN app. You can feel free to do that, and we'll play those at 8:15.
I would love to see you, Randy, on the red carpet. I just want to say, I just want to see you say, hey, Susie, what are you wearing? You look adorable. You'd be perfect for that.
I would have fun with that.
Adorbs. I feel like, Randy, you also do a great job of keeping up with pop culture, so you would go out there and probably
Exactly.
stir the pot a little bit, wouldn't you?
Oh, there's no question about it.
You would stir
I would
the
be
pot.
so much better than the woman they have right now on E. I would blow her away in terms of my interviewing skills. She's terrible.
I haven't paid attention enough.
He's got that St. Louis Cohen in him. You ever seen that guy do the reunion shows? There's some in St. Louis. You can just stir the pot. It's natural in our blood somehow, and Randy's got it in him.
Thing is, for whatever reason, people say stuff to me. I don't know why. But this woman, was it at the Oscars? Where did Billy Joel perform his new song? It wasn't at the Oscars. It was Grammys, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, she's interviewing Billy Joel, and he's giving her one-word answers because she knows nothing about Billy Joel. Dan, Brooke, I know you guys work your tail off before an interview to find out about your subject, and she had no idea about Billy Joel. If I'm interviewing Billy Joel, it's going to be an awesome 5-minute interview.
I would too. I love it when sometimes they don't give me a long answer, and if I'm ready to go, I just keep firing questions at you. Well, really? Okay. Well, what do you think about this? Interesting. What do you think about this? Just keep them there for like 5 minutes.
So I used to record the interviews that Jack Buck would do before football Cardinal games. So the pregame interviews, we would go in and interview Hanny or the coach or whomever. And the Cardinals had a cornerback, remember number 35, Jeff Griffin?
I do.
And he was doing that for about the first minute of an interview. And Jack Buck says, he's just pulling my leg, and asks him another couple of questions, another 1-2 word answers. And Jack said, I guess we're going to ask you 60 questions during this interview.
Don't you wish you could be honest like that? Because, and then also sometimes too, maybe they will answer the question, but it wasn't the answer you exactly are looking for. So then you have to reframe it in a different way. Have you guys been through that before?
Oh, yeah.
100%. And I brought this up to Matt, but did you guys see Patrick Beverley's going through a lot right now. One, he threw the basketball at a fan twice, and then he also denied an interviewer from doing an interview because he asked her before it started, you know how they're doing the scrum, he asked her, are you subscribed to my podcast? And she said, no, like she was just kind of taken aback. She wasn't saying it in a mean way or anything. And he was like, okay, well then I don't need you to do this interview. And then she just tried to she's with ESPN. She tried to put her mic over, and he literally stopped the interview and then shoved her mic away and was like, I need you to get out of the circle. And he was trying to say it kind of in a nice way, but there was nothing nice about it.
Wow.
Is this what we're really getting to, where if you're not subscribed to an athlete's podcast that you can't interview them?
It's pretty bad.
That's terrible. I didn't see that. That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. And
just
all due
answer the
respect,
questions and move on.
I'm not subscribed to any podcasts, so Not one.
You don't
Do you
listen to any
have it?
podcasts?
No, I'm not subscribed to any. I don't,
Oh, okay.
I listen to them, but there's nobody that I care enough about that I subscribe to them.
Sure. That makes sense.
So,
I mean, usually there's some good stuff. Like, for instance, LeBron does one with J.J. Redick. I'll listen to that. I think it's kind of interesting. Gives me some different perspective on both. It's just, I like a podcast because it's free-flowing and you can talk about anything you want and you get more insight into an individual than maybe you would get in an interview where you got to cut it off after 15 minutes.
yeah, I wonder if on the LeBron J.J. Redick one, if LeBron is going to recruit him to coach him with the Lakers. The Athletic reporting that Darvin Ham could be relieved of his duties as early as today. By the way, here's what's going on with the Cardinals and the White Sox play tonight, opener of a 3-game series. Brad Keller will go for Chicago, and Sonny comes home for the Cardinals as the Cardinals come home. Sonny Gray will be going for the Redbirds in the opener of the 3-game series. Last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs, behind the St. Louis and Joseph Woll, beat Boston, forced to Game 7. A big impact from Game 7. If Boston loses, they probably fire Jim Montgomery, and he probably becomes the next head coach of the Blues. If Toronto loses, Sheldon Keefe probably gets whacked, and Craig Berube becomes their head coach.
The pressure on Jim Montgomery and those players, and for guys to say, or gals to say, that we're not thinking about last year. Last year is over. We don't have to worry about that. And I think it pertains to the Cardinals even this year. How do you not think about last year when you were up 3-1, blew that one, you're up 3-1 here? I think it has something to do with what's going on right now. They feel the pressure undoubtedly going into tomorrow night. I guess they'll finish up that series.
You could definitely tell, too, the pressure that Montgomery was feeling after the game, because he talked about the players just all really need to step up. Is it bad that I kind of want, and I don't like to see anybody get fired, so I should start with this, but I kind of want things to maybe not work out for the Bruins for many different reasons, flashbacks to 2019 Stanley Cup, of course, but either way, that means he could possibly land here in St. Louis, and I think that would be a great thing for the Blues.
Not a bad thing. And just look at it from this perspective. Just leave the Blues out of this and the coaching search and everything. You could get to see Brad Marchand lose again.
That's
Would he be
always
crying?
great.
Yep.
Do you think? In tears?
He stole my Stanley Cup.
I can picture it right now in my head. That's such a great
isn't it?
moment.
So the Maple Leafs win last night over the Bruins 2-1. NBA playoffs, the Pacers eliminated the Bucks 120-98, so the Pacers advance, winning that series 4-2. And guys, I wanted more Sixers-Knicks. I wanted a Game 7, but last night, what a great series it was. Knicks win it 118-115 over the Sixers, and they win it 4-2. And Philadelphia, it's just not going to happen with Joel Embiid. Sorry, Philly fans, but it's just not going to happen with him.
So what about the process? What happened?
It did not work.
It did not work.
Oh, by the way, the guy who did the process is gone. Daryl Morey is their GM now. And Daryl Morey's a problem, too. So they've got some issues there in Philly, and I don't know how they fix them.
What do you guys think of the owner of the Sixers buying 2,000 tickets and then handing it out? I love what he did. He handed it out to first responders and military, which was great, but he wanted to make sure that Knicks fans weren't in the building.
Yeah. And they bought him off the secondary market. So I thought it was great that, okay, well, if Knicks fans think they're going to make it in here, at least these 2,500 tickets are not going to Knicks fans. Now, Knicks fans still had a huge presence at the game last night, but 2,500 first responders from Philadelphia were at the game supporting the Sixers.
And that's the right way to do it. So that's why I have no issue with it whatsoever. To be able to give back to them and veterans, that's always a great idea.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think just to finish up, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the owner had to buy them, too, because the NBA, once postseason play, like any major sport, once postseason play gets involved, the league has to get those tickets, and some of the revenue goes to them and some of the players. So it's not like a regular season game where he can say, well, let's give away 2,000 tickets. I own the team. It's okay. I think that's the way it went.
These were bought off StubHub. They were already sold out there on the market, and so StubHub they did get the money, so he would have had to pay the fee too, which is outrageous when you buy StubHub tickets. The processing fee, it's like 50% or something like that. It's
I'm
crazy.
sure he can afford it, so
Yeah.
I get it. But still, to do it is something I thought was a cool thing.
And the act was led by Michael Rubin, one of their former owners, who still sits in the first row, and he's still heavily involved. He loves the team. But then Josh Harris and the rest of the ownership group got involved. So pretty cool gesture on their part. And if you don't want to have New York fans in there, that ownership put their money where their mouth is. And then one other note, the NCAA's national office might be footing the bill for a settlement expected to be more than $2.7 billion in the landmark House versus NCAA lawsuit. They're working on a settlement which would cost the NCAA $2.7 billion. It wouldn't cost the member schools. It's money from the office. It's already there. So it'd be a big hit, obviously, for the NCAA. This lawsuit was brought by 3 former athletes that were upset that they didn't get NIL money once NIL came into place. House was a swimmer for Arizona State. And he and 2 other former athletes filed this lawsuit, and the NCAA is now convinced that they're going to lose $4 billion. So they're zeroing in on $2.7 billion to give to former NCAA athletes from the last 15 years, and they would have to give it to them over the next 10 years.
Here's the thing is that, once again, we're talking about the NCAA. It's just going away at this point. It's losing its relevance, and then this really adds to that situation even more so. And it's their own doing, honestly.
Yep. So the NCAA payments paid to former players that are saying they're illegally prevented from making money by selling the rights to their name, image, and likeness, correct?
Correct.
The first guy I thought of is Johnny Manziel.
Yes.
The first guy I thought about was how much money Texas A&M made on his name, image, and likeness. There were portions of the stadium that were built because of his success. And I understand he was selling, to an extent, his name, image, and likeness, but not to the point of what Texas A&M was making off of him.
Well, and you signed those rights away to the NCAA when you signed a letter of intent. Regardless of what sport, you could not do that legally. Now, Mansell did it illegally, but the NCAA, for all of those athletes, the Tim Tebows, the Johnny Manziels, the Herschel Walkers, for years, they've owned the name, image, and likeness rights to every single NCAA athlete, which is preposterous.
So it sounds to me like the NCAA is trying to get ahead of this, but it also tells me how much is in the coffers of the NCAA to say, we'll pay out $2.7 billion, and it may go to $4 billion.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and with the NCAA, right now, they're a separate entity from the college football playoff, the Power 5. So their money is going to have to come from men's and women's basketball. They should issue a big thank you to Caitlin Clark, because they made a lot of money from ESPN off of NCAA women's basketball because of her.
I want to give credit to Pete Thamel or Dave Murphy, or maybe even the editor who put together this line in the middle of that story, which was, this is the line from the co-counsel for the plaintiffs. Our leverage is a big cannonball rolling down a hill and picking up speed. The NCAA declined to comment. That is fantastic editing right there.
It really is.
The longer we wait, the more we're going to have to pay. It's that simple.
Yeah. So we are off and running here on this edition of the Opening Drive. Coming up at Cardinals.com, there's an article, 5 reasons May will be better for the Cardinals. Really? It's coming up on 101 ESPN.
Looking for something new in your daily fantasy? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to download Underdog Fantasy, go to their new Pick'em product live right now in Missouri, Pick'em Champions, pick 2 to 5 players from at least two different teams. You select higher or lower on the player stat projections, and then you're going to select your entry fee, and you're going to enter in a game alongside other underdogs. As long as you hit your entry, you're walking away with a big win, which I almost did yesterday if Tyrese Halliburton gets 0.5 more of a point, a rebound, or an assist. Everything else is going great for us except for he goes for 33 when we needed 33.5. Better than we've been doing on our baseball entries lately. So let's put together another playoff basketball entry for tonight. We're going to go with the Cavaliers and the Magic game. We're going to go higher than 31.5 for Franz Wagner, lower than 38.5 for Paolo Banchero, and lower than 35.5 for Donovan Mitchell on that game. And again, you don't need to do NBA. You can do whatever you want. You can do PGA, MLB, NHL playoffs, and of course NBA playoffs all right now. And you can mix and match, combine on all your different entries. Underdog is super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to their easy-to-use mobile app and download, or you go to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with their promo code ROCC, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick'em entry. Right now, our entry is worth 6x our original entry fee. If you add that first pick'em entry that they're going to give you for free when you put in ROCC, you're going to bump it up to 10x your original entry fee. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more, up to $100 matched, or that special pick. Must be 18 plus and present to stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Play the White Sox tonight, the opener of a 3-game series at the ballpark, and Dawn Clemish at MLB.com has a story entitled "The Vibe is Strong. 5 Reasons May Will Be Better for the Cards." And reason number 1 is the defense is holding strong. Credit to the Cardinals for fixing their defense so far in 2024. It has been substantially better than it was in the first month last year.
It really is. And also she notes in the article that the Cards have the 3rd fewest errors per game in Major League Baseball, behind the Braves and the Nats. And you've seen it. If you've been watching the games, then you know that this team defensively looks a lot better, and we talk about that with fundamentals. Now, on the other side of it, I know that we're doing more roses and bunnies with this articles. It all just goes back to the fact that offensively they're not just there. But some of the things that she noted, the vibes are good, and she quoted Miles Michaelis as saying that. How important is that when you are going through a stretch where you're not doing what you need to do, maybe in one aspect of your game, that a player says that the vibes are good in there?
I expect him to say that.
Yeah, of course.
I expect him to say that. I don't want him to come out and say, yeah, we're done for the year, So I take it with a grain of salt. I would say this, and, you just hit on the head, Brooke. You can give me they play good defense. You can give me that they played 19 road games, which I do think is somewhat of a factor. They're going to have a bunch of home games coming up. I also think playing inside the division is going to help them if they have success, because they'll gain ground. But let's just be honest. This offense is historically bad. It's not just bad for one. This is historically bad. Mm-hmm. So if they don't hit, they don't win. And it comes down to them having some kind of offense. They hit 188 against the Mets in the 3-game series last weekend. At Detroit, 27 innings, scored in 4 of them. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win games. So Arenado, Goldie, Newt Barr, at some point, Dylan Carlson, who, by the way, homered last night for Memphis, and he did it from the left side of the plate, which was good to see. Hit it the opposite way. But we're talking about players that have to step up and hit. And if they don't hit, they're just not going to win.
Reason number 2 is that the veterans will click. The expectation of the people that we're talking about here, Goldschmidt and Arenado, will do what they've done so far in their careers. And we're at May 3rd now, and it's time for those guys to start clicking. You can't go a couple of months, you can't go 2 months into the season performing the way that Goldschmidt and Arenado have and expect your team to be able to compete on a regular basis.
A combined 3 runs between the both of them currently right now. And it's not just about the home runs. I want to make that clear, but the lack of power in this lineup is a big concern that I have.
12 extra base hits between the two.
Yeah.
In 31 games. That's it.
That's not going to do it.
The other part is I think you were counting on 2 of the young kids to play much better than they have. And Nolan Gorman has a 36% strikeout rate, which is the highest of his career. It's not that far off where he's been before, but he's not hitting for the kind of power that we saw. And then the other thing was Jordan Walker. And Jordan Walker at 155, and now he's in Memphis, which you were counting on him to be a spark. I would say the other thing, too, is that you were counting on Brendan Donovan to come back and be a little bit better than he has. Mm-hmm. Now he's hitting at the top of the lineup, which we'll see if they change up the lineup tonight. I think that would be a reason for optimism outside of what the article says, moving Wynn up maybe in the lineup. I don't know, man. I mean, they just we can go through all these guys. They got to hit.
Yeah. And another reason that Dawn gives for the Cardinals being better in May is that the schedule will improve. Cardinals have played 19 road games. The Yankees also have played 19. Pirates have played 20 road games. Sure, the Cardinals are going to play more at home. They're 5-7 at home. They're a game under 500 on the road and 2 games under 500. 2 games under 500 at home. So, sure, take advantage of the schedule, but you better win at home.
Here's the problem with that, too. I'm like all negative on this stuff. I don't like being all negative. I'm not a curmudgeon, Randy, as you said yesterday. But, you know, I'm not into sunshine and lollipops either.
Roses and bunnies?
Just try to be realistic a little bit. They were terrible at home last year.
Yeah, they were.
And they're not off to a good start at Busch Stadium this year. I'll go back to this, though. 10 games inside the division. 4 with Milwaukee, 3 with Chicago, 3 with Cincinnati. Let's say you win 3 of 4, 2 of 3, 2 of 3. You're going to have a different feeling about this team, even what you do outside the division.
You better win those games. And then the other 2 reasons that she gives, the bullpen is stingy. It has been great so far, and it should get better theoretically with Riley O'Brien coming back and with Keenan Middleton eventually coming back. You would think that it'll be better than it, well, as good as it has been so far.
Honestly, the bullpen has been the biggest highlight so far for me this season, and Ryan Helsley is a big part of that with his 10th save the other day. He is absolutely lights out, but that combination of JoJo Romero, Andrew Kittredge, and Ryan Helsley is just absolutely lethal. It just all still goes back to where's this team offensively? And Rainey, I know that you are diverting over to what they're talking about in this article. It's just hard to get past that. Dan, I thought this was interesting when you talked about the strikeouts. The Cardinals are actually middle of the pack right now, hitting-wise and strikeouts in the league, so they are at least middle of the pack in that regard, which is not that bad if you also had the home runs to go along with it, because some of the teams who are striking out the most, they also are doing fine when it comes to home runs. Right now, the Cardinals are bottom of the pack in that category.
And what you're saying is damage.
Exactly.
You know, Arenado's getting a lot of singles. His average is fine, well above league average. But I want to see damage, and that's what you're expecting for home runs and doubles and extra base hits. I'll say another reason that I'll give it optimism for this club is you've got to have Matz and Michaelis be better. You can't just rely on the 3 of Lynn, Gibson, and Gray, and 2 of the 3 are going to pitch this weekend. When they get that trio going, they're 10-6. Everybody else is 4-11, and they're not sure what they're going to have with Matz. You may see a spot start out of somebody coming up next week, but the other 2, whomever they may be, 4 and 5, have got to be better in the rotation.
And then the 5th thing that Dawn Clemish writes about, she says, this club believes it can win every game. That's exactly what you want from a team that suffered just fewer than half of their losses by 2 or fewer runs. As the old saying goes, the Cardinals are often a bloop and a blast away from a different ending, and they know it. The attitude is right.
Yeah. Let's say this. Do you want a player to come out and just say, man, we're just throw this season away. We'll look forward to next year. Of course they're going to say that. What they said in that attitude is right, and everybody's looking to have positive things. Of course they're going to be positive.
Of course, and I don't doubt that, because it would be a bigger concern if we saw, I don't know, what happened early last season where you had the whole kerfuffle with Wolf Contreras and all that stuff that was coming out of the clubhouse, and luckily they were able to get past that, but that was a big distraction at that point. I understand that, of course, they're going to say the vibes are right. My whole thing is, and we've talked about this with the organization as a whole, is where is the sense of urgency? Sometimes I want to feel that urgency. I want to feel that anger. We talked about Tommy Pham yesterday about how he stood up and he just cleared everybody in the room about what they were doing wrong. Maybe that's not the right approach completely, but I just want to see some fire from these guys. And at times you see it, at times you don't. And I want to feel the fire in this moment of, okay, we really, really want to turn this around quickly. Randy, you talk about it all the time. The guys who hate losing. That's a big thing.
It is a big thing. But ultimately, though, you got, as Gene Stallings used to say, you got to have players making plays. Mm-hmm. I thought at the beginning of the season, this team was a 500 team. They're pretty close to being 500. I think that's what they're going to be at the end of the season. I don't expect this to be a 92, 93 win team. I don't think they're that good to be a 92, 93 win team. So I'm going to go relative to what my expectations of this group of players were. And that's what I'm looking at as a group of players. I think they max out at 83, 84 wins. And I think everybody in the organization, except for Mosaic, who put this together, should feel good. Ollie Marmol and his coaching staff and these players, if they get to 83, 84 wins with this group of guys, should feel pretty good about it.
And we said we said this many times, after the first month, if they are 2 games above, 2 games below, or 3, you would take that because of what the schedule has been for the Cardinals. I'm going to be really interested to see how the White Sox pitch the Cardinals because they're being overpowered by fastballs. They're hitting 203 against the fastball with a 305 slug. If they can't catch up with what that tells me is that guys are in between. That there's something there mechanically where I'm not saying guessing, but you're in between when you're getting overpowered by fastballs. And I think that's something when you're under pressure, you feel that, and all of a sudden you don't have success.
Every single player eventually has their hands slow down. You don't get to the zone as quickly as you used to. And when you get to your mid-30s, that's going to happen. It's just a reality of life, unfortunately. And it might be happening.
I want to give you this stat. So the highest average against fastballs in this lineup is 222. So below that, it's Gorman, Walker, Contreras, Herrera, Arenado, Donovan, hitting below 222 against fastballs. If I'm Brad Keller tonight, I am pounding the zone with four-seam fastballs.
You bet you are. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, our buddy Jay Delsing joins us to talk some golf here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Prestige Pools and Spas is having a huge hot tub and swim spa tent sale in the St. Louis Galleria parking lot. Now through Sunday, May 12th, head to the tent sale to take advantage of the biggest discounts ever offered, plus free special financing and additional savings on floor models. Spas are in stock and ready for quick delivery. Come check out options from Aquatic, Artesian, and Marquee Spas and Swim Spas. Save thousands of dollars. Plus, for every spa sold, Prestige Pools and Spas will donate $100 to St. Jude. Prestige Pools and Spas tent sale in the St. Louis Galleria's parking lot.
Hey, this is Brooke for the Face and the Body Spa and Salon. Mother's Day is quickly approaching. Guys, it's coming up on May 12th. And I have the perfect gift idea for you guys to win Mother's Day. And it's a gift certificate to the Face and Body Spa and Salon. To me, gift certificates are never a bad idea because then the mom in your life, she gets to pick what she wants to do with it. Maybe one day she really needs a massage because maybe you and the family stressed her out a little bit. Or maybe another day she wants a facial. And with 6 area locations, the Face and Body Spa and Salon is easy to get to one near you, and it's a one-stop shop for all things self-care. I went by their Brentwood location the other day, and I could not get over how big their space is, and they really do have everything. With that gift certificate, she can get her nails done, hair, facial massage. They also have a lot of med spa packages like laser hair removal, cool sculpting, and also semaglutide shots. Those are the weight loss shots that a lot of people are wanting to get right now. Let her pick from their vast menu of services. So give them a call today at 314-725-8975 or go online to thefaceandbodyspa.com. It's so simple to purchase a gift certificate. It's at the very top of their page, and you get to decide what you want to do money-wise, and it's super easy to purchase. That is thefaceandbodyspa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals were off yesterday, but they start a 3-game series versus the White Sox tonight. It'll be Brad Keller, the righty for the White Sox. This will be his second appearance and his first start of the season. He faces off against Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. Sonny Gray on the season, 3-1 with a 1.16 ERA and a sub-1 whip so far this season. Last night in the NHL playoffs, the Maple Leafs tied it up 3 apiece with the Bruins with a 2-1 win. The Pacers got a win to clinch their series over the Bucks, 120-98, and the Knicks, to Randy's chagrin, ended the series early with a 4-2 win, 118-115 over the 76ers. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
The opening drive, and Jay Delsing joins us. You hear Jay and Danny Mac every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 here on 101 ESPN. It's Golf with Jay Delsing. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful, guys. How are you?
Doing good. Cinco de Mayo is on Sunday, and TaylorMade has produced Taco golf balls. Number one, you're a TaylorMade guy. Number two, are you thrilled that the company that you're associated with has made Taco golf balls? They have little taco images on all of their golf balls.
I cannot believe some of the stuff that they're putting on golf balls these days. You know, and they've got those patterns where, you know, you see I guess they make them look like they've got little soccer ball images or little things, and the ball goes flying through the air, and I can't see anything anymore anyway. And then they put, you know, green. They'll put a little green in there, and those balls are lost for me. I can't find them. Yeah, Taco golf balls. That's great. How about tequila golf balls? I mean, you know, just saying.
We are thinking.
Yeah, I know. Out of the box over here, right?
Yeah, you got to get in touch with your people.
Yeah, I got a lot of weight at TaylorMade right now, I'm telling you. But once you get over 50, they forget your address. You know, I had to buy my first this sounds so whiny, but I'm going to say it anyway. Since I started, I had to buy my first golf club and probably maybe since high school. When I've been putting not bad, but not great. And Scotty Scheffler can go to a mallet. I've never tried a mallet putter in my life, so I call it the TaylorMade guys. I'm like, man, that Spider. They're like, yep, and it's going to cost you. And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, okay, that's all right. Give it to me anyway. I'll buy a club, So I've been spoiled for a long time, you guys.
Man, that sucks, though.
We got a lot of first world problems over here.
True.
Jay, I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if you saw this interview the other day with Gary Player, of course, one of the greatest golfers in the world. He had a pretty interesting take on Tiger Woods and his career. I don't know if you saw this interview on YouTube, but in part, he said Tiger Woods had his career ruined, completely ruined, in regards to swing coaches getting in the way. What is your take on that?
Look, I mean, first of all, have his career. So you guys, this is what we thought as players. Tiger comes out and he is so much better than us. It's really going to be a problem for us to figure out how to beat him. And everybody knows it. And when Tiger started working with Hank Haney, all of us thought if Hank could help Tiger with his putting, Tiger would be playing on the Korn Ferry Tour. That's what we thought. We didn't have a lot of Tiger didn't need much help. I mean, look, he comes straight out of college and wins the Masters by 12 strokes in 1997 after shooting Brooke 40 on the front nine. And then his takeaway from that tournament, a win for the ages from Jim Nance's call. His takeaway, Brooke, was I've got to change my golf swing, because I cannot hit the shots I want to hit when I need to hit them. Now, that kind of awareness is just ungodly for me. I would have been celebrating with you guys for months and months and months. I would have not have been changing my swing. I mean, what Gary Player said is pretty true, but come on, man. I mean, that's such an armchair quarterback thing to say. I mean, Tiger did what he did, thinking, and he still had. Without Jack Nicklaus, Tiger's arguably. I mean, if Tiger doesn't go in that personal hole that he went into for almost 10 years, Tiger rewrites every single record book that we have. Tiger wins well over 100 tournaments, probably 30 majors, and we're not talking about Jack being the best player of all time. So, I mean, is he right? Yeah, to an extent, I think he's right. But wow, I mean. I don't know, man. I mean, to say that Tiger had his career completely ruined, that's pretty deep for me.
And Jay, you played in almost 600 tournaments. Would you have enjoyed having your tournament ruined like that, or your career ruined like that?
Oh man, Randy, listen. Where I grew up in North County, if somebody told my career was incredibly mediocre, if somebody told me when I was 14, "Hey man, will you take this?" I'm like, where do I sign? For what I got, for what Tiger got? Holy, it would have been. I would have signed with my feet. I mean, I was like, give me anything. I'll put an X over there for sure.
So, Jay, this weekend we have Nancy Lopez, World Golf Hall of Famer, on the show. She was dominant as a little girl. At one point, she plays on the boys' high school team. And I asked her, I said, what would you tell that little girl right now as you being one of the dominant golfers ever?
The thing is, whatever I experienced was, enjoy what was happening to me. And I would say that to myself too. And I did do it. I enjoyed what I was doing. My dad helped me love the game to where I enjoyed everything about it. Even when I didn't play well, my dad always made me feel like anything was possible.
And I've heard you say this when you give lessons, and you and I are playing all the time, but you tell little kids, enjoy the sport and also play other sports.
Oh, my gosh, you guys, the parents just ruin this stuff when they take away the fun. And if I hear these folks come all the time to me and say, yeah, I want this scholarship. And I'm like, gosh, you guys, you're just going about it the wrong way. Present the sport to your children, and this has to be for them. Because once it starts getting hard, man, if they're not in it for themselves, they'll bail. They get out of it right. They get out of it right away. Nancy Lopez was such a cool person. Her rookie year on the LPGA Tour, she won 5 tournaments in a row and 9 tournaments in the entire year, and she was so concerned about being a flash in the pan that she followed it up the second year with 8 wins. And just a really, really cool human being. So we were talking to Nancy to try to get some perspective about what Nelly Korda's going through, because 5 wins and she's going for the record next time she plays. So Nancy Lopez was just so gracious and just a really cool person.
And that'll be 8 to 10 this Sunday. The Byron Nelson is taking place on the men's side. Did you have a chance to meet Byron Nelson?
Oh my gosh, you guys! When we used to go to the Byron Nelson, Lord Byron was sitting in a rocking chair on the 18th green when we finished playing, and he would shake. He shook my hand, I'd say probably 10 times at least, thanking me for playing. And I was like, you don't really have to thank me. I'm so honored to be here. But he was just such a gracious guy, and you're sitting there thinking, this guy won 11 tournaments in a row on the PGA Tour. I mean, you want to talk about an untouchable record. 11 tournaments in a row. Come on, it was crazy. So the Dallas has this charitable group called the Salesmanship Club that they do a great job raising money and stuff for him, and with his name involved. And it was when I was a kid and that happened to me. I didn't really think that much of it, and then you go back and people are like, Byron Nelson is thanking us all for playing in the tournament. It's really pretty cool.
That's awesome. Hey, Jay, before we go, one other thing. I never dreamed that we would get to 2024 and we would have to have a special exemption for Tiger to play in the U.S. Open. He accepted that special exemption this week. Why did that happen? Why did he need a special exemption to play in the U.S. Open at Pinehurst this year?
Well, they used to give the guys lifetime exemptions for winning majors. Now, some of them still do. The Masters does. But that's really it. I guess what happened, what they were trying to not do was let some of these older fellas play in these tournaments past when they were relevant. But I really didn't. I don't think that was. I think that was misguided. There's not very many of these great champions that want to keep playing when they get older and not competitive. So I was actually surprised when I saw that too, Randy, because there's so many crossover categories that typically would get someone like Tiger with his record in. But once you win a major now, you only get a 5-year exemption into that major. And what's really relevant about that is the live guys, because some live guys, Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, I think he's still there off of his Masters win. You win one major and you get an exemption into all the other majors for 5 years. If it's Augusta, you get a lifetime exemption, but the other 3 do not. And it's odd that, the Masters would say, okay, yeah, we're going to let you in for the rest of your life. And the U.S. Open isn't. If you win it, it doesn't make sense. But none of these 4 majors are run by the same group. And so they all kind of like making some of their own rules and making, their event more special that way.
If he wants to play, you let him play. That's my thought. If any tournament, whatever tournament he wants to play in, if you let him play.
Oh my gosh, for sure. I mean, he's got to, what he's got to do for the ticket sales, what he's got to do for the crowd and our ratings and everything, which are really, really low right now. So yeah, I mean, you get to a point where you have to wonder if, it will Tiger keep accepting these. Mm-hmm. Because when he stopped accepting them, that he's pretty much resigned himself to the fact that he can't win. And it's really going to be interesting, guys, because when he played at Augusta, he looked markedly worse Saturday and Sunday than he did on Thursday and Friday, and so his body it's just really, really letting him down.
Jay, always good to hear your voice. We'll be tuned in for Nancy Lopez on Sunday morning with you and Dan. Have a great weekend, sir.
You guys too. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Jay Delsing with us on 101 ESPN.
So Nancy Lopez is on the show, and we pre-recorded that interview. She was so generous with her time. But imagine being one of ESPN's, remember when they did the top 100 of the century? She was the only female golfer that was involved as a top 100 all time on ESPN's 100. So really just a gracious lady, and I think people will enjoy the interview.
She is so nice. I had the pleasure of meeting her here when she came to town, and she is exactly right. It's about keeping it fun, and that doesn't just apply to golf. It applies to a lot of sports, because what Jay was talking about specifically is those parents are projecting maybe what they wanted to do or wanted to accomplish on their children, and that's a lot of pressure. Sports is supposed to be fun. That's too much pressure to put on a child, where it's like, okay, well, we're trying to get you a college scholarship, or I want you to go here or there or do that. There's so much pressure being put on these kids now.
She actually gave me one of my pre-swing routine items because her dad told her when she was a little girl, every swing before she would swing, make good contact. Make good contact. And I always tell myself that. Make good contact.
And be committed to the shot.
Yep.
She talked about her dad being such an influence. He actually taught her the game. But then she said the best part about it was that one time she was 10 over, and her dad looked at her and said, well, at least you weren't 19 over. And just gave her a big hug and a kiss and said, don't worry about it.
That's fantastic. That's great. Looking forward to that on Sunday morning. Looking forward to Take It or Leave It coming up. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO.
Now, do I have to do one when the weekend is here, or,
Yes.
At some point during the show.
Zip it, Brooke. All right.
At some point during the show.
Let's do it right now. Yo-ho.
Yeah!
Tioli next on 101 ESPN.
Or leave it. Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back. Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for Ravioli here on 101 ESPN. Again, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. All right, the Patriots drafted a receiver named Javon Baker, not even in the first round. And he says that he is already one of the top 10 receivers in the National Football League. Take it or leave it, he isn't one of the top 10 receivers in this draft.
I might have to take that one.
Yeah.
When did he say that? He just said
Yesterday,
that?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, he thinks he's...
I like the confidence.
Yeah,
exactly.
He was the number 110 overall pick for the Patriots.
He said he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL?
That's what he said, yeah.
You like the confidence, but I'm going to leave that. He's good, though.
Well, he has a chance to prove us wrong. That's the other thing that he can do here. I like the confidence. It's key.
Why not?
Why not? All right, take it or leave it, guys. Dylan Carlson, you mentioned it last night, Dan. He had a home run, and we know that John Mozeliak spoke recently about how he believes that he'll provide a boost for this team when he returns. Take it or leave it. We'll see him during this homestand.
I'm going to take that.
Yeah, I'll take that, too. Yeah,
I bet he plays the weekend with Memphis and then comes back and ready to go in the tail end of the homestand, especially if they're not getting any kind of production from center field, which they have not had any production from center field. Newbar hitting 185. Victor Scott sent down. Siani's hitting 171. I'm not saying he's the savior, but certainly he could help the offense in some form or fashion. I go back to what Randy said, though, yesterday, and I think it's really a valid point. Newbar did not have a spring training and really didn't have a rehab assignment. And I do wonder on the flip side if they're very cautious with Carlson bringing him up. It's early, and let him get completely comfortable, completely healed before they bring him up.
That's a really good point.
It's a month.
Yeah, that's a lot. Take it or leave it. The Major League Baseball average is 239. So it's not just the Cardinals that are struggling here offensively. Take it or leave it. Pitching will dominate the entire year of 2024.
Ooh, the entire year.
Now, you got to remember, weather's a little bit colder. That's always something to consider. And there's been a ton of pitchers that have gotten hurt, and probably more on the way. Would that affect the competitive nature of being more balanced with pitching and hitting?
Dan, I'm going to take it that pitching does dominate. We're thinking about the guys that got hurt. We were putting together a Dodgers staff yesterday of injured guys that would be at worst middle of the road of just their injured guys. Then you think about Scherzer coming back, DeGrom coming back, some of the other injured guys that are going to come back.
Buehler.
I think Senga is coming back for the Mets at some point. So I would think that the pitching will get even better. And by the way, hitting, we're seeing it here, and you mentioned it. Hitting philosophy doesn't lend itself to great offense anymore.
I put the pressure on the players right now, and it's philosophy maybe a little bit where I keep saying this, one size doesn't fit all. But I put the pressure on this deal with the players. I mean, they got to start to produce. It's on them.
Exactly. They have to execute at the end of the day. Pitching has been really dominant. I feel like even despite some of the injuries that you've seen, there's so many guys who are doing well. And on the hitting side, some of the big hitters in the league are just not performing. Did you guys notice that Randy Rosarina, he's off to a really rough start. 139 average right now to start the season.
He'd fit right in. By the way, here's the injured Dodgers pitching staff. Here's the rotation. Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Bobby Miller, with Emmett Sheehan as their sixth starter.
I could make a case for 4 of the 5 being number ones.
I can too. Their injured closer, Blake Trinan. Their injured setup man, Brewster Gratterall. Their other injured setup man, Ryan Brazier. Plus, they have Nick Ramirez down there injured. So your 5-man bullpen is Trinan, Gratterall, Brazier, Ramirez, Sheehan.
I can also make a case that there's 3 of the 5 that would be 7, 8, 9 and better than any team.
Unbelievable.
It really is.
And that's their injured guys.
Wow.
That's just insane.
All right,
Can't
Matthew,
they share a little bit?
No kidding.
on.
Did they
Share
not
some of
learn
that money.
Yeah,
and as
anything.
you mentioned, Danny, when we were talking, we didn't even include maybe the best pitcher in baseball in there.
Clayton Kershaw is one of the guys that would be on at least but in terms of his history.
But Shohei.
Yes, he's coming back next year.
Yeah, so pretty good injured group. All right, Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
Take it or leave it. The Mizzou North end zone renovation should include a Gary Pinkel statue. The move to the SEC never happens without the success he had.
I don't know if it needs to be inside, but I would say that there should be a Gary Pinkel statue at Mizzou.
Damn right.
I'm going to leave that. I would name something after Gary Pinkel, maybe a segment of the stadium or a particular area. I'm not sure, though, you get a statue without maybe putting together a national championship. I understand he helped them get to the SEC, but that's an awful lot.
But we do have a Don Farrow statue, do we not?
You don't want that visor just immortalized for all time. Get out of here! You're crazy, Danny Mac. I want that visor just forever. 1,000 years later, after the heat death of the universe, just still standing there.
Do we have a Dan Devine statue?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Statue's an awful lot.
He changed the program.
I understand that. But there's been other guys that change programs. They don't have statues.
There's a Devine statue at Notre Dame.
I agree with. I think that naming an area also means a lot as well.
Absolutely.
Well, it does, because you can get money for that.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's a good point, Randall. Always go back to the follow the money.
Yep, that's a good point. Take it or leave it. The Yankees have the dumbest rule in sports with the no beard and the no long hair.
I'm going to leave it. The NFL has that fumble out of the end zone.
No, that makes a lot more sense than this.
Oh, no, it doesn't. That's
No.
the worst rule in sports is the NFL's fumble out of the end zone.
What?
That is one of the worst rules in sports.
Yeah,
I
it's ridiculous.
100% agree with you. I kind of honestly like it a little bit. I know that it's weird. It was weird seeing Harrison Bader with the short hair and the different look that he had going on with the Yankees, but I just think that it's kind of nice to have somewhat of a tradition with one of the teams.
I agree. And think of the look that it provided Matt Carpenter.
He actually was good with the Yankees.
yeah.
With the mustache, I know, and the look was great.
He was very
true.
good. Don Mattingly.
Steinbrenner should have went to jail for what he did to Johnny Damon. Jail.
It's a little much. By the way,
Are you going to put a dead guy in jail?
There's a whole family that can be accountable for that.
I was looking at
Pick one of them and throw them in there.
historic vids the other day on Twitter. One of my favorite things I've ever seen was David Wells wearing Babe Ruth's cap. He bought it for $35,000 and wore the cap when he was pitching. That was cool.
That was.
I like that. Take it or leave it. Dylan Carlson saves the Cardinals offense.
Take it.
Wow.
I think I'm going to leave it.
I mean, he'll provide the boost that is needed for this team.
Cold dead hands.
I'm going to leave that he is the instant igniter of this offense. I think he can help. I'm not saying, though, if you're counting on Dylan Carlson being the guy to lift you out of problems that you have with your offense, then you have a real problem with your offense.
Exactly.
I believe, and this is not to cast aspersions on anybody, that Dylan Carlson's talents probably would be exposed better elsewhere. I would not expect somebody to get the most out of their talent here.
Well, here's the thing, though. He's going to play every day.
Terrible.
And they're going to give him a long run, I would assume, in center field. I want to see it again. I want to see what he can do. He worked on some things in the offseason. We haven't had a chance to watch it. Let's give him a little run and see what he does.
And I know the story surrounding him is obviously the injuries, but the one that happened, that was just really unfortunate.
Fluke a little bit.
Yeah.
Bumping into another outfielder.
Running into that outfielder, Jordan Walker.
You're going to lose that battle.
Yeah.
Let's finish this one with maybe the most positive text we've gotten today. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals have a set starting outfield by the end of the month.
By the end of the month?
I'm going to go.
That's not going to happen
June
the whole year.
6th. June 6th, they will have a set outfield.
Really?
So you can go Newbar left, Carlson center, and who'd
Walker.
you put? You think Walker's back up by then?
Yeah, they have bobblehead night.
What about Tommy? Oh, that's
You're
why you
all
said,
over that
oh my
bobblehead.
gosh, Randy.
History has proven that the Cardinals will pay attention to bobblehead night.
Okay, so then what's the outfield on July 6th?
It's my
same.
birthday.
Okay.
So you're thinking Tommy Edmonds coming back.
That's what I'm saying. Where does Tommy Edmond fit into this puzzle?
Oh, maybe after the All-Star break?
Where does Brendan Donovan fit into the puzzle?
There's a lot of pieces here.
He's your second baseman.
Okay, what happens to Nolan Gorman? DH?
He's your DH.
Okay. That means a lot of playing time for Contreras.
You say, what if Herrera starts hitting again?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay.
Randy.
Well, okay, so let's be reasonable here, okay? And again, I don't want to say that things are horrible, because they aren't. They're about 500. But when's the last time during a season a Cardinal hitter was struggling and came out of it? When's the last time you remember a Cardinal hitter during the season struggling and coming out of it and turning their season around?
Jordan Walker last year.
Yeah, after they sent him down, right?
Yeah. But he turned around his
He
season.
did. You're right. You're 100% right. And maybe that will happen with Jordan Walker again. But at the major league level, it just doesn't seem to happen. Guys don't get off to slow starts. And I guess Goldie, for the first couple of weeks in 2022, he was hitting 150 or something like that and got hot. But
Goldie last 10 is starting to heat it up a little bit.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like the Cardinals do a great job of bringing guys out of slumps.
Trying to think. I mean, there's not a bunch that come to mind right now.
Arenado really never got hot last year. I mean, and he had back problems.
In that middle, it felt like the middle portion, beginning of the season and end of the season were not great. I felt like they kind of fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm just. And by the way, this is not a Cardinal-centric thing. Dan mentioned offense in baseball. I think it's part of the issue that they have, and it's a bigger thing. And we're going to get to fresh take here in a moment. But I think the baseball philosophy that has been implemented by people who never played the sport has really hurt offense.
And part of that is max effort. You're not seeing guys stay in games longer, and I think the advent of 5-inning pitchers and then going to guys that are rested and throw 100 in the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, and the advent of a split finger and now a sweeper, which more guys are using that. You want to call it... It looks like a sweeper a little bit and slider.
Yeah.
But, pitching is so good right now.
Right. No doubt. But what did Mike Shannon always tell us? He always said, worst thing you can do when you go to the plate is think. Right? Mm-hmm. And these guys, John Mozeliak on this air has referred to the Cardinals' philosophy offensively as a high-level curriculum. You're thinking. And Mark McGuire says, you need to have all your thinking done before you get to the ballpark. You need to have everything that you are going to think about. You have to have that locked into your mind before you walk through those clubhouse doors. You have to know everything that you're going to be doing. And I am convinced, and Bader and Wong actually talked about this, that players are overloaded with information and they're thinking at the plate.
Does it make you think about fastballs and what they're doing and being in between a little bit? The Cardinals with those terrible numbers I referred to earlier, but does make you think they're a little in between if they're thinking too much at the plate.
No doubt about it. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, which Blues reunion is more likely? Is it Jim Montgomery, Rod Brindamore, or David Perron? That's next on 101 ESPN. Pretty much every person is on some form of social media now, and social media has become a very effective way for you to reach your audience. And we have a way to connect you to those audience members of social media by setting you up with 2060 Digital. Right here at our building in Hubbard, we have a fantastic social media and digital company called 2060 Digital, a sister company backed by a 100-year-old media empire, just like 101 ESPN. So if you're a business owner or marketer and you want to look for strategic ways to reach your audience, get in touch with 2060 Digital at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital. With 12 years of expertise, what they do is simplify the ability of your company to reach your client via social media and digital. And whether it's enhancing your brand's online presence or optimizing digital campaigns, 2060 is the best way to do it. They've got people that can set up a program for you, and then they'll show you numbers that will quantify the success you're having. Get in touch with 2060 at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital. Knocked off the Boston Bruins last night by a score of 2-1 and forced a Game 7 of their first-round series. And there's a belief throughout the hockey world that if Boston winds up losing this series, they will have lost a first-round series for the second year in a row under Jim Montgomery, and they will have blown a 3-1 lead. There's a belief in hockey circles that if Jim Montgomery does wind up being the coach of a team that loses 2 first-round series in a row, that he'll get whacked as the coach of the Bruins. Rob Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, is scheduled to become a free agent coach, and David Perron, former Blue, is scheduled to become a free agent as well, although he may re-sign with Detroit before free agency starts. So our question is, what former Blue has the chance to reunite with the Blues most? Which Blues reunion is more likely? Is it Monty as the Blues head coach? Is it Brindamore as the Blues head coach, former Blues number 1 overall pick, or number 1 pick? Or is it David Perron? Who do you think it is?
For me, I think it's going to be Jim Montgomery. Now, yesterday, if you would have asked me, I would have said because of Darren Dreger's report, we talked about this with Jeremy Rutherford, where he said that maybe there was a little bit of an issue going on with the status of the contract with Rod Brindamore and also with the Canes. But now he also had a report last night that it seems like things have cleared up and that deal will be done and he will be staying there. So that just kind of crushes that one. The deal's not done completely, which I know is a big part of it. Until there's ink put to paper, you can't exactly say it's done. But if he's reporting that, it seems like that is out of the question of possibilities for the Blues head coach position. So I'm back to Jim Montgomery, because here's the thing is back-to-back early playoff exits could open a hole for a possibility there. I know that I believe that he has a year left on his contract, but with the Bruins, if you have those early exits, that might be the end for Jim Montgomery. And he has such a history with St. Louis. 1, his wife is from here, and 2, we know that Doug Armstrong gave him another opportunity in the NHL, and I think that that's something that would weigh heavy in Jim Montgomery's decision.
I would say my least likely guy is David Perron, just because I think he was really frustrated on the way that things ended. But you know what? Money talks, and if the situation was right in a contractual situation for him, then I think he could come back. Rod Brindamore makes a lot of sense, potentially. And I think the Blues are just waiting for Montgomery to be either fired or advance in the playoffs. And at that point, Jim Montgomery, if he's available, it seems like he'd be the perfect fit for the Blues, with his family ties here and ties to the organization. By all accounts, he's just a hell of a head coach and coach in general, that they would bring him here to St. Louis.
Brindamore yesterday in his press conference before the Hurricanes' next game said that he, quote, feels really good that we'll figure it out, unquote. So I'm with you guys. I think that Brindamore will wind up staying in Carolina despite their goofball owner. Tom Dundon he doesn't believe in contracts. So Brindamore is one of the few people in the organization that has a contract. That's the reason they lost Ron Francis to Seattle, is because the guy didn't want to give him a contract. He has given Dom Waddell a contract, but their owner at his core doesn't believe in contracts.
That's just a little goofy, in my opinion. If somebody, especially a coach, is really well liked and he's doing everything that you would want, why would you, even if that's your philosophy, you have to be able to flex, maneuver on your philosophy, because it just makes you kind of look like a jerk in a lot of ways.
Right. And with what JR told us yesterday about David Perron's departure from St. Louis, how much he was hurt, I don't think that he'll be back either. I'm with you guys. I think Jim Montgomery is prohibitively the odds-on favorite, the best chance to reunite with the Blues. And they've liked him for a long time. Organizationally, they've liked him. I know Doug Armstrong likes Jim Montgomery a lot. And he's got everything you're looking for. That David Carl guy, the head coach at Denver, Jim Montgomery is that guy with a ton of NHL winning experience.
Let's talk about re-engaging a fan base, too. Mm-hmm. You bring in Jim Montgomery. I think fans would be excited about that. I think they'd look at this as saying, okay, and this is no disrespect to Drew Bannister at all. I thought he did a nice job. But you're getting a guy that's been there, done that, and has St. Louis ties. I think it would really re-engage a fan base.
Yeah, Jim Montgomery's lived here for a long time. He gets the town, which is another big part of this. But what I want most, I love that stuff. I love that he loves the town. But I want somebody who can get the most out of the young players. And I have every belief that Montgomery will get the most out of the young players. And Joe Micheletti said one time, and Joe's son Adam lives here, and we had him on when the Blues brought in Jimmy as an assistant. He's the best tactical coach he's ever seen.
And I think, too, can we get the best out of Jordan Kyrou? And that's where I look. Can you take Robert Thomas to even a different level? They're going to be here a long time, and then you have this influx of young players coming. And if you believe he's the best at developing and continuing relationships with young players to take them to a different level, then he would be the guy here in St. Louis.
And he's really, really well liked by this current group of Blues. Very well liked. Pavel Buchnevich, which we've heard Doug Armstrong talk about how he wants to keep Pavel Buchnevich here, and they're going to talk to him about a contract extension. He really likes Jim Montgomery, and he has mentioned that before. And I've also was able to observe the players and how he was able to interact with them. They really do like him. Do you remember seeing that video where he wore a wig just because things were kind of rough for them a little bit, and he came out with a wig out on the ice during practice to just kind of help alleviate some of the pressure from the guys? He's just really well liked by the players.
And that's what you need in this day and age with the players. Nobody's going to skate through a brick wall for you. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, and that, by the way, is our fresh take. We've got a question for you. If you could go to any event, sports or not, in the world, what would you like to go to? And you can send us a mic drop with our 101 ESPN app, or you can send us a text, and that text line number is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. We're going to tell you where we would like to go, and we want to know where you want to go next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Cardinals are back at Busch Stadium starting tonight with the White Sox. Sonny Gray getting the start with first pitch at 7:15. Brad Keller making his first start with the White Sox. He has a 4.28 ERA and 114 career starts. As for the injured Birds, we will likely know more about the status of Steve Amass today after he underwent an MRI on his back yesterday.
The Redbird report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Randy brought this up because the Kentucky Derby is tomorrow, and we don't know about the Kentucky Derby, and we're guessing that most of you really don't either. But the Kentucky Derby would be a fun thing to go to. A lot of people have that as a bucket list item. You get one item to put in your bucket, and it doesn't have to be a sports item. One item to put it in your bucket, and you can go to that thing, whether it is a sporting event or another event. You can pick anything you want. We want your text. Brooke is...
I thought it was more than one, and so I had multiple ready to go.
You can go multiples then.
Can I have multiple things in my bucket?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Hard to choose, huh?
It is. Are we going right ahead?
Go ahead.
I thought you were about to do the text line if you wanted to do that.
Oh,
real
no,
quick.
the texts are packed right now.
Okay.
So keep texting in, though. 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! There we go.
So for me, I actually want to start with the Masters. Now, I'm not the biggest golf fan, but going to an event like that, I feel like that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I would love to go. Then Wimbledon has always been my dream. So that might honestly be tops for me, just because I grew up playing tennis. I'm a huge tennis fan and just always dreamed of going to Wimbledon and being able to see some of the greatest tennis stars. Also, another one on my list that's tennis-related is the French Open, specifically to see one of my favorite tennis players of all time, which is Rafael Nadal, king of the clay. Obviously, that is where he dominates, and he is kind of retiring soon, so he will be playing in this year's French Open. So that would be a dream to be able to see the king of the clay on clay at the French Open. But Wimbledon might be tops for me just because I've always dreamed about that. And Randy, I was telling you, I've kind of been in and out of tennis, of following exactly who's playing. I, of course, love watching, but you don't have the heyday of some of the big names, especially U.S. tennis stars like you had quite a while ago. But there is some new names emerging that are kind of bringing me back into watching tennis on a more regular basis. That'd be Carlos Alcaraz, which he's not a U.S. tennis player, but he is so good. He reminds me so much of a Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Djokovic, all that different kind of stuff. So I am just very excited to see him play. And then Coco Gauff, she's just 20 years old, and she is a U.S. tennis player, and she is really, really exciting to watch, and she's just continuing to rise in the tennis world.
Good calls.
I would go Masters, but a couple things inside the Masters. The par 3 contest, I would love to see that because you can kind of maneuver, get up close to the players, and sitting on number 18 on Sunday would be right around the green. I think that would be really cool. I'd put the Kentucky Derby, which I'd really want to go to, and I'd want to see a home Game 7 NHL Stanley Cup Final. Went to Game 6. I want Game 7. With the Blues.
Nothing like that.
Yeah, with the Blues.
Yeah. Oh, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, that was... I was lucky enough to be able to be there for that, and it was just everything that you could imagine. I felt so lucky to be there for that situation. I wish that it would have happened in St. Louis, but still, it was still sweet happening in Boston.
I'll go with 2 then, and I'm with you with the Kentucky Derby, the fastest 2 minutes in sports. But that is something you don't have to be a horse racing fan to enjoy that and spend the day. I mean, it's 2 minutes, but the day at the Kentucky Derby would be awesome. Just to people watch would be awesome. That'd be great. I'd like to go to a college football playoff championship game now too. The way it's set up, and they're always competitive. I would really like to be in the building for that.
You probably can get tickets for that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like the hardest ticket ever to get. Like, I would want to go to the finals of the World Cup. I think that would be pretty awesome to try and get that. That would be something that I would remember the rest of my life. That would be pretty cool.
It'd be great.
There's a lot of good ones coming in. So the Summer Olympics. Now, you said that Patrick's going.
He's going to Paris this summer. And they've got some basketball tickets. I think they've got some swimming and something else.
Michael Phelps in his prime. That would have been pretty cool.
To see. Yeah.
The Dream Team, the original Dream Team, I would have paid to see them for sure.
Dan, if I could pick one event to go to in history, and I didn't have a chance. Remember Rob Silverstein at KMOX?
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was in the building for the Miracle on Ice against the U.S. against Russia.
That'd be a pretty good one.
That would have, if I could go back in time and pick one event ever, that would be the one I would want to go to.
Me too.
Kentucky Derby is another one that we keep getting in, which, I mean, people are saying it's also a long day. So, but you're kind of prepared for that. Would you guys get all dressed up for the occasion? You have to.
You have to, right?
100%.
Yeah. So I wouldn't
Brooke,
wear.
you'd have the big hat.
I was
walking
actually
around.
looking at some of that, at some of the hats that people were wearing, and it was it's a lot. I don't know if I could wear that for an entire day, because somebody texted in saying that it's a long, long day.
Oh, drunk
and you
Tom
have to
Brady.
have that. You have to have that on your head for an entire day.
Well, you do. We don't.
That's true. I feel like it should be a little fair. The men should wear just a giant top hat, so it's all evened out.
Some do.
Monocle.
They do.
So I've seen some with the big hats, not like the ladies' hats, but I've seen some like with the old school 1920s look of
Indy
these
500.
suits.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I went to the time trials for the Indy 500 as a young kid, and I still am blown away by how loud it was.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's sound you feel. You don't just hear. You feel it
Good
in your gut. It's great. How about UEFA Champions League final? Would be fun.
There's a lot of soccer games you could pick just to be in the atmosphere of, like, the flares are going off and you're trying to sit across as far from the other fans as possible because they throw bottles at each other. That'd be a great time.
How about this one? It's sports adjacent, but I would love to go to a WrestleMania one day.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's another people watching one.
That is another people. Wait, is that something that we should factor in here? Do you go to an event just for the people watching? What is the best people watching event?
I think it's probably the Derby.
What about NBA? Like an NBA Game
Sunday
7 in LA.
In LA, yeah.
That would be pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Or even New York.
Yeah. Philly had a good crowd last night.
This is a wild one we got here. Sporting, I want to go to the Indy 500. Non-sporting, I want to argue before the Supreme Court. What a dichotomy.
It would be fun to argue before the Supreme Court.
No, it wouldn't. It'd be stressful as hell. That sounds very unfun.
But I would love
I can't
it.
imagine 9 people who probably have less of a sense of humor on the planet. It wouldn't be good. I'd
I'll
have a
try
bad time
'em.
I know you would. It'd be a bad time, I think.
Here we go. Just stay away from the Supreme Court. Let's move on to sporting events.
No,
Randall?
it doesn't have to be sporting events.
Oh, that's right. We did say
Somebody
that.
said people watch
Dang it.
Walmart.
That was my answer. It was what's a better sport watching event? I go, I don't know, noon on a Sunday at Walmart.
There's a collection of a lot of different people
The
at Walmart.
Iditarod. I don't know if I'd want to go watch the
Be a little
Iditarod.
chilly.
Yeah, a little too cold. Best people watching would be Talladega.
Problem with the Iditarod is you don't actually get to pet any of the dogs.
No, you leave them alone.
Exactly. So why would you go?
leave
So why
them
would you go?
alone.
That's true. Good point. So we'll revisit this later in the show, but it's an interesting exercise. You have to put a lot of thought into it when you add non-sports items to the sports items.
They said a Trump-Biden debate.
Oh, that'd be
we're
fun
really
to be in
getting-
the
Or
in the
any
crowd.
presidential
Yeah.
debate.
Any president. You let me ask a question.
You'd be in the crowd. You'd be
Yeah.
Ken Bone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do that. I would.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Isn't he from the area, or am I just
It
imagining
was a
that?
Wash U debate.
I don't know how I pulled that one out, but yeah, Ken
That was a
Bone.
good throwback.
Coming up, we've got the fight, and we need a fighter. And all you need to do is text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
Do you have a mother? Well, I would hope so. Or is there a mom in your life that you need to get a special gift for this Mother's Day, which, by the way, guys, is coming up on May 12th. I know the perfect place to get a gift for that mom in your life. You should go visit my friends at Decor Interiors and Jewelry. It's in Chesterfield at Olive and Woods Mill Road. Right when you walk in, you will just be blown away by all the options. And, of course, you'll be greeted by Joe. He is the owner, and he is just such a great guy, and he will treat you like family. I actually stopped by their store this past weekend to pick out a wedding band because that's where I got my ring. I absolutely love my ring, of course. And I got sidetracked and spent an hour with Joe and his staff looking at all the jewelry that they have just in time for Mother's Day. What's really big right now? Here, I'll give you a hint. Diamond tennis bracelets and necklaces, the best quality diamonds in town. Or what about a birthstone of the child for that mom in your life? I'm a July baby, so that is rubies for me. And he had so many beautiful rubies in stock. They were so stunning, and they always take the time to educate you on your purchases, which is what I really like to hear. So why not have them help you find the perfect Mother's Day gift for the mother in your life? Go stop by Decor Showroom today and tell them I sent you. Decor, always unique, always affordable.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals start a 3-game series versus the White Sox tonight. It'll be Sonny Gray on the mound for the Cardinals, facing off against Brad Keller. Keller on the season, one appearance, and just one start this season. But don't worry, he's a righty, not a lefty, so the Cardinals fans shouldn't have to worry. Coming up this weekend, St. Louis City SC is back in action. They face off against the Houston Dynamo down in Houston, and we will talk to MLS broadcaster who will be on the call for the game, Mark Ragandino, coming up next. Also later on in the show, Battlehawks coach Anthony Becht at 9, and MMA fighter Charles Johnson, St. Louis native, joins the show at 9:15. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Karraker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rock here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is David. David, how are you doing?
Good, Brooke. Hi, Dan. How you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Actually, this is a rematch from over 3 years ago. I took Randy to a walk-off.
Ooh.
And the question was, how many touchdown passes did Warner throw as a St. Louis Ram? And he beat me on it.
Yeah, you're not going to beat him on St. Louis Rams history, but that's
It was
okay.
all Rams. I was proud to just get him to the walk-off. to be honest with you.
Well, away we go, David. Here's question one.
Question 1. In the infamous Blue Shark hand pass game from that 2019 Western Conference Finals, which Shark scored that game-winning overtime goal? Was it Joe Thornton, Eric Carlson, or Timo Meyer?
We'll go Thornton. That was my first thought.
All right. Question 2. The Blues shipped out Their former top 10 pick, Rod Brindamore, after just 2 seasons in a trade for Murray Barron and Ron Sutter to which team? Was it the Rangers? Mm-hmm. You don't even. Here's the options: the Rangers, the Bruins, the Flyers, and you nailed it. Let's just move on.
Question 3, David. Knicks hero and New York legend Jalen Brunson was originally drafted out of Villanova by which franchise? Was it the Jazz, the Pelicans, or the Mavericks?
Wow, we're throwing a dart on this one. I'll say the Jazz.
Okay. In question 4, on this day last year against your Cardinals, Shohei Ohtani became the second player with 500 strikeouts and 100 home runs. Who is the only other player to reach those milestones? Is it George Sisler, Rick Ankiel, or Babe Ruth?
I got to go Babe Ruth.
All right. How you feeling, David? I'm going to go grab Randall, but how you feeling?
Well, in words, we'll say not great.
You never know, though. You never know. We could have maybe possibly a rematch of what happened with you 3 years ago. Randy is walking in currently.
Obscure, so we'll see.
Not great.
Oh, that was Mo chiming in with the not grape there. And then one thing that is great is that Randy has his grapes, but he didn't finish them.
No, I was talking to Maggie Hody, our fine salesperson.
Yes.
We were talking about what we were going to do this weekend, and she's going to go join Costco, and I was checking out the Costco website to find out if they still do refer a friend. I don't know if they do or not. I couldn't figure it out that quickly.
So what happens if you refer a friend?
I think you used to be able to get a gift card from Costco.
Oh, nice. Boy, and you got Bed Bath & Beyond on the list, too, of things to do?
Yeah, I'm going to go hang out right in front of their former store.
Maybe go get some candles or something?
Formers.
Yeah.
It could be a really busy weekend. Exciting.
Bed Bath & Beyond is out of business.
No, you're going to the Battlehawks.
Going to the Battlehawks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, big one. Get some tickets still available. Go see the Battlehawks tomorrow.
We're going to visit with their head coach, too.
Coming up at 9 o'clock. Yep, Anthony Becht will join us.
Randy, say hi to David.
David, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randall. How are you?
Everything's terrific. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for playing.
Ready for question number 1, Randy?
Ready.
In the infamous Blues Shark hand pass game from the 2019 Western Conference Finals, which Shark scored that game-winning overtime goal?
I don't even remember, but I'm going to go with Logan Couture because I think he scored in the 6 games, I think he scored 40 goals. So I'm going to go with Logan Couture.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I don't know if it's right, but I'm going with it. Number 39.
All right, the Blues shipped out their former top 10 pick, Rod Brindamore, after just 2 seasons in a trade for Murray Barron and Ron Sutter to which team?
So my great friend Scott Adamek and I were driving back to St. Louis from Cincinnati, where we watched the Bengals play the Redskins. Okay? Here's what happened. We were playing each other in fantasy football that day. I had Mark Rippon. I had Gary Clark. I had Ricky Sanders. I was a huge Redskins fan. I had 4 Redskins. He had Gerald Riggs. Mark Rippon passes for 400 yards. Gary Clark and Sanders each run for, or catch passes for 200. And they take the ball down to the 2-yard line, and Gerald Riggs wound up scoring, I think, 4 touchdowns that day. And we're driving back from Cincy when we find out that the Blues have made the deal with Philadelphia.
I was going to say, Randy, this is a hockey question.
Yeah. So the Blues trade, we're driving back from Cincy, and the Blues trade Rod Brindamore to Philly for, as you said, Ronnie Sutter and Murray Barron.
Yeah, that's right.
The Blues, that was one of the things they did. They scrambled for such a long time, Dan, to make up for losing Scott Stevens.
They sure did.
And that was
I always liked Murray Barron.
I did too. The problem was people expected him to be Scott Stevens.
And there was only one Scott Stevens.
There was, yes.
So I guess you're going with the Flyers.
Flyers is my team, yes.
All right.
We got there. It took a minute.
We did. Yeah.
It just got a little sidetracked.
I remember the day it happened.
I love it. I love your history of sports. I think it's fun to hear it.
Take us back to the moment, Randy, and I appreciate that. Question 3. I think Rock's trying to get us to move on.
Yeah,
anyways, do you have any other stories that you had? Okay, just kidding. Question 3. Knicks hero and New York legend Jalen Brunson was originally drafted out of Villanova by which franchise?
Oh, I thought it was the Mavs. He played for the Mavs. I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks, but maybe he got traded. I don't know, but I'm going to go with Dallas. He was funny last night. Did you guys see him after the game with Kenny Smith? He says, "Is this Kenny?" And Kenny says, "Yeah." He says, "The 1916, go Cats." He's pointing up to the Villanova banner where they beat North Carolina. It was pretty funny. He was great.
Are you ready for question 4?
I am.
Okay, on this day last year against your St. Louis Cardinals, Shohei Ohtani became the second player with 500 strikeouts and 100 homers. Who is the only other player to reach those milestones?
Better be Babe Ruth.
He'd better be. Is that your final answer?
Yeah, Baby Ruth.
All right, Matthew.
He hit some home runs.
We
bombs.
have a winner in today's fight. David looking for some retribution as he takes on Randy Karraker 3 years later. Does he get it, or does Megamind keep on rolling through this week, which would be a perfect week for Megamind? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Karraker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
All right, David, I'm sorry. Randy Karraker took you down 3-2 in today's fight.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, and we appreciate you listening. Appreciate you playing today.
You too, buddy.
Thank you.
It was very close. The infamous Blues Sharks hand pass game from the 2019 Western Conference Finals, which Sharks scored that game-winning overtime pass. Timo Meier got his hand on it. Erik Karlsson was the one who actually put the puck away. Logan Couture did have the game-tying goal late in the third that would send it to overtime. He was fantastic that period. Joe Thornton also had a goal earlier in that game. Blues shipped out Rod Brindamore just 2 seasons in a trade for Murray Barron and Ron Sutter to the Flyers. Nick's hero and New York legend, because that's what happens when you win one series now. Jalen Brunson was originally drafted out of Villanova by the Mavericks in the second round, and on this day last year, it was in fact Babe Ruth and Shohei Ohtani, the only people with 500 strikeouts and 100 home runs. And through that, I learned that that's one of those. Remember when we learned that Baseball Reference and MLB has different stats? Baseball Reference says Babe Ruth has 488 strikeouts, and Major League Baseball has him above 500. And I do not know where the discrepancy is. But there it is. A 3-1 win for Randy, or 3-2 win for Randy Karraker today in the fight.
Coming up, St. Louis City SC back home to take on Houston tomorrow. We're going to talk to Mark Ragondino. We'll have the call on MLS Season Pass. He joins us next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you or your youngster are looking for a college and you haven't found the perfect one yet, I implore you to check out my alma mater, Lindenwood University. Lindenwood is such an amazing on-campus experience with over 50 student clubs and organizations. They have over 100 different degrees available with minors and certificates, and the campus is absolutely beautiful. Take a tour. Go to lindenwood.edu to set up a tour, and when you get to campus, it really is amazing because they have an incredible, exciting Division I campus experience now, Division I football, Division I basketball, and great class sizes. You're going to learn a lot because they have a 15-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio at Lindenwood. Plus, the average financial award, this is great, the average financial award at Lindenwood is $12,500. A campus made up of students from all 50 states and over 75 countries. I loved and love Lindenwood, and you or your family will as well. 30 minutes from the heart of downtown St. Louis. It's the place I went to, and I advise everybody to check it out and go to Lindenwood University. Check them out now at lindenwood.edu. You'll be able to watch St. Louis City SC and Houston tomorrow night on Apple on your MLS Season Pass. And Mark Rogandino will have the call for you. He joins us now on the Celebrity Line on 101 ESPN. It's the opening drive with Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Randy Karraker. Mark, thanks for your time this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be on with you guys this morning. One day out from match day for St. Louis City. And it's probably the first and last time that you'll hear my name and celebrity in the same sentence.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about last year. Celio Pompeo was a little-known college product, making splashes on City SC's bench. This season, he's played his way into the first choice on City SC's left wing. What have you seen from him, and what has taken his game to the next level?
You know, we saw bursts from Pompeo last season. In fact, he had a couple of wonder goals last season. But I think because of injury this season, right, Edward Leuven is a big piece of the puzzle. He's been out for about a month now, and he's back in a couple of weeks. But the attacking ability of Celio Pompeo has been on display, and his ability to get into dangerous spaces. I mean, the goal he scored in the last couple of weeks ago was magical. So, but consistency, right? Now he's going to get his opportunities to get starts. You know, I think he only had 9 starts a season ago, and now he's already got 7 this season. So his ability to get consistent minutes and be in there from that opening whistle is going to help any young player. And he's making the most of his opportunities. He's creative. He's definitely creative. He's got a good nose for goal, especially from distance, and so he fits right in for Bradley Carnell and St. Louis City.
As you can imagine, ton of City fans here in St. Louis. What do you expect tomorrow? Just simply, what do you expect in the match?
Well, it all depends how the match plays out in terms of tempo for me. You got 2 very contrasting styles between these teams. Houston is a team that really would like to possess the ball more. They want to play through the middle of the park and then get you kind of pinned back in moments into your own 18-yard box, into your own defensive third. So if they can dictate that type of tempo and really slow things down, that'll be a huge contrast to what St. Louis City likes. They're a team that doesn't mind not having the bulk of the possession. They're fine with that. And on the road, usually in MLS, you don't have it. So that's not going to bother them. But I think that, and Bradley Carnell told us a little bit about it yesterday in our conversation with him, they want to turn this game into a little bit more chaos, you know. Kind of the 3-3 thriller you saw with Sporting Kansas City a couple of weeks ago is probably more the blueprint for them. Yes, they don't want to concede 3 goals, let alone an own goal from their goalkeeper, Roman Berkey. But I think if this game is open and chaotic, where they're running north and south a lot and getting after Houston defensively, and they're having to scramble to get numbers back behind the ball, that plays into the hands of St. Louis City. And if they can do that on the road, especially given the opening 20 minutes when Houston will try and just make sure they're pinned in, right? If they can, in a boxing analogy, if they can take a couple of jabs, keep moving their feet, but then all of a sudden be able to swing back with a couple of good blows, meaning good chances on goal out in open play, that'll bode well for visiting St. Louis.
Mark, along those lines, with that style of play, we enjoy it here at St. Louis, but is that a sustainable style of play in the long term, the way that St. Louis City plays?
I think the hard part about that is the key factor is health, right? Because there is depth on the St. Louis City roster. So, but can they stay healthy to the point, and especially since they've already had, a cluttered fixture schedule in the sense of, they played some Champions League games. You're going to have some Open Cup games coming up. So, and you hope that you have a long extended run into the postseason. So you're not talking about just 34 regular season. You have Leagues Cup in there as well. So, you're going to need to play upwards of probably 45-plus games in a season, and you need to have the depth to sustain that type of play. But I think that, as Bradley told us yesterday, he said sometimes the games are the easy part for us because our training sessions are so intense and we demand so much in terms of competitive play and training sessions. When we get out on the field, we feel at ease because the other team is not used to the intensity level at times over the course of 90 minutes that we like to put out in a training session. So I think it is sustainable, to answer your question, but can you stay healthy enough to sustain it?
A big conversation in town and for City fans has been the inability of City to find success with both Klaus and Adeniran on the field together. What have you seen with that? And as a follow-up, what makes a good striker tandem in your opinion?
Well, I don't think that. I think it's doable, but I don't think that. In the formation that St. Louis City plays, they like to have what we call two number nines. Right, the number 9 is the top striker up there. In a sense, what Joao Klaus plays. Adeniran is a player that can play from a wide position, but then you're going back to saying, okay, do I take Alm out? Do I take Pompeu out? Who comes out of the lineup to allow to have those two players on at the same time? So you would have to switch the formation, number 1. But I think Joao Klaus is your alpha dog, right? You know, he's your guy that you want to stay healthy. He's your guy that you expect to score 12, 15 goals a season for you. So, and he's off to a good start. So, do they play at the same time? Not necessarily, but I think you have 1 and 1A. So, you know, if Klaus needs a little bit of time off, he needs a game off, again, going back to depth and heavy scheduling, then you have Adeniran who's a player who can step in and make a difference. He's different. He's not the same kind of number 9 for me as Joao Klaus, but he is equally as effective as we saw last season when he's on.
Mark Rogandino of Apple with us on 101 ESPN. All 14 matches this weekend will be available for free on MLS Season Pass, including St. Louis City SC at Houston. Hey, Mark, you're going to be at Houston, and that's one of the iconic places, one of the iconic franchises. But you've been here. What's the atmosphere at City Park like compared to the other outposts of MLS?
Well, it's interesting because I've covered this league, you guys, for, I hate to date myself, but coming up on almost 20 years. I go back to my very first days were the days, I'm from Southern California, were the days I was on the LA Galaxy broadcast team, and this guy named David Beckham decided to come here. So, I've seen a lot of growth in this league. I've seen a lot of expansion. And I've seen all the new soccer-specific stadiums for the most part. You know, I was at the then Home Depot Center, home of the Galaxy, the day Pele walked out and it opened. But I got to tell you, City Park is beautiful. I got the chance to get out there last year, and for me, it's easily top 3, top 4 in Major League Soccer right now. You got to give credit to your fan base there and the job that they do supporting the team. Already starting some traditions. So City Park is fantastic. Houston's a little different. There's a lot going on in Houston, and so it'll be interesting to see. Do they get a true home field advantage? Do they get a really, really good crowd out there tomorrow night to support the Dynamo, a team that's lost 3 of their last 4 games? So they might not be the flavor of the month down there in Houston right now, and that might be a golden opportunity for St. Louis City to come in and get something on the road out of this game.
You offer great perspective on this because of your time and watching Beckham and what he did with the league. What have you seen with Messi and what he's meant to the league, exposure, TV ratings, all those things that come into play?
It's unprecedented, without question. I mean, we thought what David did, and he elevated the league, but he elevated the league in a different way, right? Because he all of a sudden got really the overseas in England and that part of the world. He got them to notice, oh, what's this guy doing going to America and playing for a team in Los Angeles, right? Well, that started people having interest in Major League Soccer and looking at teams in MLS. And now I think Messi's just taken that baton really, 15 years later, 20 years later, and he's really run with it. And the fact that he's doing it for David Beckham's team is even more ironic. So, but it's been fantastic. Everywhere I go, people ask me, "Oh, wow, have you called the Messi game yet?" No, I don't get those, but maybe one time this season I will, and that's okay. That's okay because I love telling all the other storylines. Like about St. Louis City, like how Houston had success last year, like how LAFC has the reigning MVP, in there, so or reigning Golden Boot winner. So there's a lot to tell, and it's really a fun ride. And you mentioned Apple. I think they've done a tremendous job. I know there's been some pushback every now and then in the sense of finding games, but the sense is you can go to one place and find every single game, let alone all 14 of them free this weekend. And, oh, by the way, they just dropped the price to like $69 for the rest of the season with a whole bulk load of matches, Leagues Cup, and playoffs coming too. So it's a win-win for everybody, if you ask me.
Mark, you're a celebrity in St. Louis, man.
hey, just to let you guys know, I go all the way back to the Daryl Duran and Ricky Davis Steamboat days. I did a few
Slobo,
games.
Carl Rose. I mean, you got all of them there.
You got cred.
That's right. Did a few games at Charles Arena out there. Was it the St. Charles?
Family Arena in St. Charles? Yep.
Family Arena. Yes, that's right.
So, hey, thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk again.
You too.
Take care. Mark Rogandino, he'll have the call for St. Louis City at Houston tomorrow on Apple. Coming up, the head coach of your St. Louis Battlehawks, Anthony Becht, getting ready for Houston on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City, and we absolutely love it. It's over 100 years old, so it has a lot of charm, but we didn't exactly love the charm of our main bathroom. So we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our bathroom, and we went to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is E&B Granite. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with a vision of how to really just transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with E&B Granite was stopping by their amazing showroom to really explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all their cabinet options. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has just been fantastic through this journey. And she came up with so many great ideas that fit within our budget. We actually moved right back into our house this past weekend and week, because as you know, it takes a while to move back into your house after you've been out. And the bathroom looks absolutely stunning, and that is thanks to E&B Granite. So go schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online at embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom today and make sure you mention that I sent you.
Danny Mac, Randy Karraker. The St. Louis Battlehawks are 4-1. Their only loss on a game-winning end-of-the-game 64-yard field goal against Michigan in the opener. So St. Louis has won 4 in a row as they come home to take on the 1-4 Houston Roughnecks tomorrow at 2 at the Battle Dome, and tickets are still available. The head coach of the Battlehawks, Anthony Becht, joins us now on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. Great to be on.
We're thrilled to have you with us, and let's start with this. I know that you did a video trying to get fans into the building, and the dome field advantage is a big deal for you guys. How important is it against a team like Houston tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, I'm not trying to get more fans. I just want to show gratitude and appreciation for what the fans have done up to this point. Look, there's a lot of options in St. Louis. There's a lot of great sports teams and concerts and events. We feel like we're one of those, great events. It's a great experience to come out, spend time with your family. It's incredibly fun. And we put a good product on the field. I think those things all equal a really good experience for everybody. So, again, it's just a constant reminder. Everybody does a great job. We're not in the city day to day. It's hard for us to communicate. I try to do the best I can, and I appreciate everybody, in the media side and those folks around the St. Louis area that have those followings that contribute to help us get more fans there. It's great for the city, and again, we're going to do our part to continue to put a great product on the field.
And it leads me to this question. What are those around the league and your counterparts, maybe other head coaches, what do they say when you guys meet at midfield and the place is really crowded? You got over 40,000 people. Are they like, man, this is something special here in St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, some coaches are, it's a quick handshake, but listen, Bob Stoops loves coming to St. Louis and playing. It's great for the players. I don't know one player I've ever spoken to on the opposing teams that doesn't enjoy playing in St. Louis. For our players to play in front of that crowd 5 times gives them a great opportunity to kind of execute and be great with the circumstances and the situations and the noise and all that stuff. That helps players actually get better because you have to function. When we're on defense, it's tough to communicate, and you have to do all those detailed signals to make sure everybody's on the same page so you can feed off of that electricity in the building. And for guys that come in from other teams, they circle this game, not just in the sense that, it's against us, but, they just want to play in front of great fans. And that's what St. Louis offers every single home game that we have at the Dome. So coaches love it. They love coming in there. They love playing. That's what it's kind of all about. That's the environment that I think every city outside of St. Louis is trying to be like. And we set the bar and the standard, and they continue to support every single game with other options. So just really appreciative of the fan base. And listen, if you haven't been to a game, you should try it out, whether it's this week or 2 weeks from now or all the rest of the games that we have at home. It's just a unique experience, and it's not super long either. This is a fast game. Halftime comes in a snap of a finger. It's a quick halftime, and then you're rolling out into the field. So you can do other things in your day, when you come to a St. Louis Battlehawk game.
And you can also, if you're a fan, you can go and see an offense that is really heating up. Coach, we have to talk about your star wide receiver, Hakeem Butler. He's dominated the UFL so far this season, leading the league in both receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. And it's amazing that the story with Butler, it all started with him direct messaging you on social media, just asking for a chance.
Yeah, Brooke, that's a great point. I love Hakeem. He's just a great person, number one. He exemplifies everything that, St. Louis are all about. I mean, it's his work ethic, his head down mentality, and he's not about him. And he goes out there and, early in the season, look, we got a lot of weapons now. I mean, we got Peasy and Stevie Mitchell's back and Darius Shepard. I mean, these guys are legit stars in our league. And every week it's somebody's different turn. Marcel Aitman was the first couple games, and then all of a sudden our running backs start kicking in. So it's just players and their commitment to selflessness and understanding, hey, we don't know who it's going to be every single week, and whoever that is, they raise and shine and they get their dues. So we keep winning, we keep doing those things. In a team standpoint, all these guys get the exposure that they want, and Hakeem was the guy last week. And just off that one game, he jumps from kind of the middle of the pack to now the leader, like you said, of the receivers in the league. So just really happy for him, and as he continues to work hard, and I can't wait to see who that person is this week that shines.
And as a former player, just seeing, as we talked about, he just wanted an opportunity and he wanted a chance. And he looks like, of course, I love that he's playing for the Battlehawks, but he looks like he should be playing in the NFL. Is that what you just like about the UFL, is it's giving these guys another opportunity, another chance to play that should be playing at the highest level still?
Yeah, me and Dave Bowler, the GM, we really worked hard in finding players that we feel like are really close. And, when you get those players, making sure you implement offensive and defensive systems that is a reflection of what some of the best defenses and offenses in the NFL are doing and a variety of teams are doing, so that these guys, if they get that chance, can plug and play. Now the verbiage and some of the wording and the techniques are the same. So, we don't copy anybody. Everybody copies everybody, right? But you make it your own. And these guys just have to go out there and perform. I think that's the biggest thing. They've had their moments. Some have been in the league, some haven't. But this is their time where, okay, we're putting it in place for you. We're giving you a chance to shine. Now you got to do your part. The player has to do their part. AJ got that platform. He had to do his part. All these guys get the platform. It's just now how they react. And if they do well, then they get that chance or that second chance or that first chance. And, a guy like Hakeem, listen, he was doing great in Steelers camp, got nicked up with a hamstring, and you know how that is. You guys that come in that aren't drafted, that are fighting for those roles, when you're nicked and you get those injuries and those bad luck things happen to you, it limits your opportunity. So I thought he was on the right track. Mike Rose was on the right track with the Dolphins. Got nicked up with an injury. That's the tough thing about this business. It's you gotta, you need a little luck on your side. So hopefully these guys can continue to get that luck after the season and get their opportunities, and hopefully a couple more guys can stick like three of our guys are right now with NFL teams from last year.
Anthony Becht and his St. Louis Battlehawks hosting Houston tomorrow, 2 o'clock at the Dome, and tickets are still available, and fans can help out your defense. And last week, Anthony, you had the 3 takeaways, and just from the eye test, it looks like, and you guys don't play preseason games, looks like your defense is just getting better and better and better as games go by. Why is that? Why is your defense getting better?
Well, it starts with Donnie Abraham and his belief in what he does and really getting the guys to buy into what we're asking them to do. And then ultimately, like we just talked about performance, guys have to go out there and in the moment when their technique and their alignment and everything is right, do they make the play when that time comes? You're right. We were waiting for that turnover deal to come for us over the early part of the season. Sometimes they just come in bunches, and you got 3 interceptions, you get a fumble, you get 2 fourth down stops. That's 6 times that you get the ball back, and then 2 block punts. And we probably could have had 4 block punts in that game. I think nobody's talking about our special teams. All 3 phases were just magnificent in that game, and I give a lot of credit to the players. It's hard to perform at that level on all 3 phases. You watch a lot of football at the highest level. There's always somewhere where there's a weakness, and it all came together for us versus DC. I'm just really proud of the guys and the way they performed. It's tough with limited rosters and the health and trying to maintain guys and keep them, fresh and flying around. I went back and watched that defensive film 3 times this week. I thought our defensive line was absolutely incredible. Probably the best group performance I've seen all season, maybe in 2 years. The way these guys shedded blocks, made tackles. We had, 2 interior defensive linemen have 3 or more tackles in that game, which is remarkable because you don't see that kind of output. You don't see how that the interior guys get that kind of love. It's always the pass rushers on the outside. So they really came together. Our secondary starting to mesh. The communication is a lot better. And we're going to need that this week. Houston's a very good team. We don't look at their record. We've been very adamant about what we do on the field, making sure we take care of us. And, we want to make sure we ourselves don't beat ourselves. And if we don't let the battle off beat themselves, then we feel like we've got a really good chance every week.
Hey, Coach, one more thing. And the UFL does a great job of providing access. So you're mic'd up virtually all the time. So we get to hear you. And it's interesting to me how you are quite emotional, but you still seem to be on top of your emotions. Is that something that you consciously have to do? Because you're clearly an emotional guy, but you also have to have your mind about you, your wits about you. Is that something that you've had to consciously develop?
You know what? I'm on. Situationally, I'm on it. I'm every single waking second of the game, I'm thinking about what could happen and what I need to put myself and put my coordinators, what positions, going for 4th downs, not going for it, where we're at. And, you're right. I am passionate about it. I'm passionate because I played the game. I know how hard it is to have and make big plays and block punts and sack a quarterback. The entertainment value for fans, they see that. It's like, oh, hey, it's great. And I know the work that gets put in for these guys to actually accomplish those things on the field. So I am going to show and be passionate about it because I want to see these guys be great. I want to see them perform at a high level and see them execute great and see the fruits of their labor come out when they work throughout the week and we tell them and ask them to do things and make sacrifices and they do it. That's part of it. Coaches can do both. You don't have to be a dud, and it's okay if that's how you are. You don't want to show any emotion, that's fine. But sometimes it's just for me. So maybe guys feed off that, and if that's great, but it's natural, man. I just like watching players do great things, and when they don't, you're probably not going to see much out of me. I'm never going to be pissed off. I'm never going to be off the kilter. I may say some things that don't make the mics throughout the game, and I may see some things on the back end or during the week at practice, which nobody's going to hear. But at the end of the day, this is their day to shine on game day. They've been coached. They've been told what to do. They have to go do it. And, right now we're sitting in a good spot, man. Just happy for our guys, and I'm going to continue to show that passion, regardless. Whether our record's, 0-5 or 5-0, it doesn't really matter. We got a short window of time to enjoy this game, and you can be both. You can do both things, and you can be really good, at the things that need to be done from a head coaching standpoint in situations throughout the game and be on top of it and still have that passion, for your players and your coaches and everybody involved.
Coach, we're looking forward to tomorrow, 2 o'clock start at the Dome Cancer Awareness Game for the Battlehawks presented by Siteman Cancer Center. And let's go get another one tomorrow against Houston.
Love it, guys. I appreciate what you guys do for us, and go Battlehawks.
Go Battlehawks. Thank you, Coach. Anthony Becht with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, St. Louisan is going for a UFC title. We're going to talk to him next on 101 ESPN.
Charles, this is Matthew.
Mother's Day is a week from Sunday, and if you want to come up with the perfect gift for mom, make her a homemade brunch and get all the ingredients you need when you go to Schnucks. Before you go, download the Schnucks Rewards app so that you can get 2% back on every single thing you purchase. And then get the ingredients if you want to make her some Eggs Benedict. Maybe you want to get some donuts or some croissants from the best bakery in town. And then whatever her favorite thing is. Maybe she's a fish girl. Maybe you go to the seafood department and get her some great fish or maybe a shrimp cocktail. Or if she likes a steak or maybe some chicken breast, pick that up for her and make that for her and get all of the accoutrements, all of the things that you need for a Mother's Day brunch that you have made for her, and get it at Schnucks. And oh, by the way, when you have the Schnucks Rewards app, just tap the savings icon in the app, and it's going to load all kinds of personalized coupons for the items that you buy most, and they change every week. It's just for you with the Schnucks Rewards app. I just gave you a great idea for Mother's Day, and don't forget the floral department at Schnucks, the best. So at least get her flowers at Schnucks. Randy on 101 ESPN, and there is a great UFC fighter from St. Louis named Charles Johnson who is going to be fighting right here in St. Louis. A lot of great things happening for Charles these days, who went to high school here in St. Louis, went to Southeast Missouri. He's a three-time Legacy Fighting Alliance world champion, and he joins us now on the Celebrity Line on 101 ESPN. The pride of St. Louis, Charles G. Johnson. Welcome to the show, Charles. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. That's a great intro. Got to have you at my fights, man.
I can be a hype man. Okay, let's start with this. You were great in high school. What high school did you go to?
I went to Hazelwood East High School. So in 2008 and 2009, we were like the best track team in St. Louis. We didn't lose a 4x4 the 4 years I was there. We won state in track and football that year in 2009. That was my senior year. I played on both, and I was a part of both teams. And so, yeah, I love my alma mater, Hazelwood East.
So how did you go from track and field over to MMA? When did that start?
Man, wild journey. About a summer before I got into high school, my dad took me up to start wrestling with the Little League program for Hazelwood East, the junior Spartan team, and my eventual high school wrestling coach. He's still a part of our life today. I met him and just started wrestling. It was my second individual sport outside of track and field, all the way to high school. You know, I'm doing team sports. I'm small. I'm 5'2", 98 pounds my freshman year of high school. So I'm doing team sports, trying to make my way. But when I found individual sports, it just kind of like launched me a little bit. But, you know, wrestling was my first introduction into martial arts. And I was also a wrestler every year except for my freshman year. I made it to state. And so that's like one of my biggest accolades because it wasn't something that came freely to me. I had to work for it. And it was a grind. And I really appreciate that journey. So martial arts kind of fell into my lap. I was home from a semester of school. I initially attended the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff in Arkansas, HBCU, for cross country and track, and things didn't quite go my way after a year, and I came back home, and my buddy who I wrestled with in high school was like, "Hey, I'm fighting in a couple weeks. Can you come wrestle around with me, you know, help me train a little bit?" I was like, "Sure," at his mom's basement, right? So, you know, fast forward 2 weeks later, a guy pulls out of a fight, and he fights at 135. I'm walking around 132 at the time. He's like, do you want to fight? I'm like, I don't know. Let me talk to my dad. My dad had been my track coach my whole life and kind of was trying to get me back into college and school and talking to universities. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Whatever. I need something to do.
So
I took a fight on 2 weeks' notice in Kansas at the Harris Casino under Ben Nogueira's blue corner, and the rest is history.
So it's been over 6 years since the UFC has been here in St. Louis, and you'll be able to do this in front of family and friends. Is that resonated with you, and just how cool that may be?
Man, you guys, it's amazing. It's gonna be great being back home. I've traveled a lot. I was in Thailand for a few years. I've been in Michigan the last couple years because this is where my home gym is located. I visit as much as I possibly can because all my family's still there. But it's going to be a huge moment for me. I've fought in the family arena multiple times, won amateur belts, and had professional fights there. I know how much St. Louis can show up for as far as the MMA community and for these type of things. You get the Midwest. We've had the NCAA championships there for wrestling, and a lot of the Midwest shows up. Iowa, Oklahoma, Illinois, Kansas. It's amazing to see when people show up in the city and support because it is a great city, And so I'm extremely excited to be back home, be around family and friends, and just put on a show. And it's kind of a culmination of I always thought I was going to be a professional athlete in track and field, right? But, fighting fell into my lap, and I've worked really hard to be a great fighter. And I get to show everyone at home, all the work I put in over the years.
Do your family and friends think you're nuts for doing this?
Not anymore. When I initially started, especially within the black community, wrestling is kind of foreign, and martial arts, we don't really have. I was unaware of anything. It was always basketball, football, track and field, the big major sports, maybe baseball here. But, just so jumping into fighting, it was if it wasn't boxing, it was very foreign, So for me, it's been a journey. It's fun to see. My mom actually, for the first time, watched my whole fight, my last fight in the UFC. I've had 8. This will be my 8th fight in the UFC come May 11th. And she hasn't been able to watch any of them up in my whole career up until my last fight. She watched the whole thing, and that was kind of a special moment because my sister recorded it. So, they've come around.
That's cool. Hey, Charles, how can people come and watch you fight?
Okay, so Enterprise Center, May 11th. All right, Saturday. You guys be there on that Friday. We're having a meet and greet at Ballpark Village from 6 to 8 p.m. Fans can come up and get some things signed. We're having a ticket raffle. But Enterprise Center, you get on Ticketmaster. Go get your tickets. They're on any ticket selling platform right now. You can find them.
Looking forward to that, and I have to believe the home crowd. You've been in enough fights to see now. You get the home crowd. That's going to be a huge advantage for you emotionally, isn't it?
Man, that's a big part of this sport, managing your emotions. For me, I've competed at the highest level for so long. I kind of always shine in that spotlight first. So yes, indeed, when the fans get going, when St. Louis shows up. Yeah, man, I'm super excited. One of my favorite St. Louis memories is David Freese in the World Series, So, I feel like it's going to be my own little St. Louis moment for myself.
Awesome.
I love that. Charles, last question for me. What are some of your personal goals within the UFC as well as outside of the octagon?
So right now I'm doing some community outreach with SDL Care, and so Wednesday we're doing a meet and greet and just trying to get some things going within the community as far as mental health and trying to tie that into the MMA community. So I have a lot of big goals. I want to be able to bring something new, but bring together what we have already in St. Louis. So as far as myself, my goal is to win a world championship as an individual aspiration. But as far as me as a person, it's a lot I want to do for the city, and I think there's a lot of things we can do within the MMA community and just bringing up the inner city as well.
Good for you. And you're throwing out the first pitch at the Cardinal game on Monday, right, Charles?
Yeah, Monday, 5 p.m. You guys come to the Cardinals game. We'll try to, get that batter's box, give me a good little strike in there. I've never thrown a pitch from the mound, but, I'm such a competitor. The day after I found out I was doing it, I went and bought a baseball, so I've been practicing.
Good. Yeah, get up. Make sure you get up on a mound and practice. It makes all the difference in the world. This weekend.
You got any tips for me?
So Dave Duncan, the old Cardinal pitching coach, when I threw out the first pitch, we were fortunate to have him as a guest that day. I said, what should I do? He said, aim high and let it fly. So when you're up on that mound, aim about a foot over the catcher's head, and you'll be able to throw a strike.
Okay, because I've seen guys throw it in the stand. So
yeah, no, just aim high and let it fly, Charles.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for the time. Good luck when you fight here in St. Louis on May 11th. We're looking forward to it. And thanks for all you do for the community and being a part of St. Louis.
Thank you so much. Shout out to my team, St. Charles MMA and Murcielago MMA here, and I appreciate you. Can't wait to show out for St. Louis. Thank you, guys. Thank
you, Charles. Take care. Charles Johnson with us on 101 ESPN, and you can, as he said, just go to Ticketmaster and watch the UFC battle on May 11th over at Enterprise Center. Coming up, we've got the Rush Hour Reset for you, a late edition of that here on 101 ESPN. Mother's Day is a week from Sunday, and we've got a perfect idea for you. It's Sound Story. If you're looking for something easy, yet incredibly special, that will show your mom how much she means to you, then a Sound Story gift certificate is the way to go. It's a professionally produced hour-long conversation in which your mom is interviewed by your choice of one of our professional interviewers, including Anthony Salter, or Tim McKernan, or myself. And now you and your siblings can go in on a gift certificate for Mom. Get her a sound story at mysoundstory.com and enter the promo code ESPN and get 10% off that sound story gift certificate. It's really easy. As a matter of fact, purchasing a gift certificate couldn't be any easier. All it takes is a few clicks at mysoundstory.com, and you're going to have given the most thoughtful gift your mom will have ever received. Preserve your mom's life story and her smile and her laugh for your family and for generations to come. Just go to mysoundstory.com and enter the promo code ESPN to get this Mother's Day special of 10% off a gift certificate for Sound Story. That's promo code ESPN at mysoundstory.com. Sound Story for you. For them, forever.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals start a 3-game series against the White Sox. Tonight, it'll be the righty Brad Keller for the White Sox getting his first start of the season, facing off against Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. Lots of interviews to go back to listen to on our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast. Jay Delsing talking about golf. Mark Rugandino breaking down the Houston and St. Louis matchup. Speaking of Houston and St. Louis matchups, Battlehawks coach Anthony Becht also joined the show. And then Charles Johnson, who's going for a championship fight in his STL native, going for a championship fight in St. Louis this weekend, also join the show. You can catch all of those interviews on our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast on 101ESPN.com. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
The biggest stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Driven by R&R Tires. Visit rnrtires.com to lock in your $20 tires deal.
Welcome back to the opening drive on 101.
It's time for you to talk, Randy.
I know I was playing a song, and my song thing wasn't even turned up.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting that.
Oh. Is it up now?
A real song or like, okay.
Cardinals start a homestand tonight, and Sonny is on the mound. Sonny Gray for the Cardinals.
Oh, I'm fired up.
Get it?
Yes, I do. I do get it, Randy. Thank you.
I thought it was fun.
I always think it's fun, Randy. I'm laughing in the inside.
Laughing on the inside.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Cardinals tonight. And tomorrow night, you've got Toronto and Boston in the NHL. And obviously, Toronto isn't in the playoffs in any other sport. So, Toronto and Boston, eh? And if the Maple Leafs win, a strong belief that Jim Montgomery will be fired, let go. He'll capitulate as the head coach of the Boston Bruins, which would make him available to the St. Louis Blues.
Another reason to root against the Bruins. Now, on the Leafs side,
ones.
yes, there's a lot of good ones, including, like we talked about earlier, the Stanley Cup. that whole situation. Of course, worked out for the Blues, but what a battle that was. But now you have another reason to root against the Bruins, because I think Jim Montgomery coming here to St. Louis would be the best possible situation. Now, of course, I like Rod Brindamore, and this is nothing against Drew Bannister, but to be able to have a coach like that come back here to St. Louis, Dan, you talked about it earlier, it gives fans a reason to really buy back in.
Yeah, I think so. I think it re-engages a fan base. It gives them some excitement. A lot of fans want to see him here in town, so that would be cool. I want to go back to the Cardinals for a moment, if I may, since it's the rush hour reset. I think they got to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. I mean, the White Sox got off to such a poor start and have not been a good team. You want to kind of reset and re-engage the fan base of the Cardinals, win at least 2 out of 3 this weekend. Something like that is at least kind of calms the waters a little bit and get some offense going. Not a 2-1 game, but let's see an offensive explosion in one of these games. You need that.
I don't know why is my thing turned on here? No. So what am I hearing? I don't know what I'm hearing. I'm hearing something. Not anymore. It's done. It's over.
You know what you can do in those spots? What? You just take the headset off and talk in the mic.
Not a bad idea, Dan.
We're not interviewing anybody. You don't need to hear the phone line. So just take off the headset and have a nice conversation with us.
I was going to say that we should congratulate Ryan Helsley on being named the National League Reliever of the Month, by the way.
I can't imagine anybody else that would get some votes. He was awesome in that first month. And really, the bullpen as a whole for the Cardinals, you get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th if guys are rested with JoJo Romero and Kittredge and Helsley. That has truly been a bright spot in what has been choppy waters so far for the Cardinals to begin this season.
Exactly. The bullpen has been a highlight. Now, the offense on the other side, not much of a highlight. If you're Ollie Marmol today, do you shake up the lineup more than we've seen here recently?
I think it's got to be on the table, Brooke. I think you got to move Mason Wynn up. Get some speed, get a guy that's actually hitting in this lineup, get in front of the big guys and get them on base or get somebody on base in front of them. I also want to see the Cardinals a little bit more selective. You know, we've talked about what they're doing with the fastball. And, you know, when a team is struggling offensively, guys feel pressure and they expand their zone. Something I've kind of noticed is that guys are expanding their zone and get back to kind of looking at the teacup. Make sure the ball's in the teacup, and when you do that, usually you have success. So don't expand your zone. See how the White Sox approach the Cardinals lineup with fastballs, and that's something I'll be watching this weekend with the offense.
Now, to your question, Dan, we've had some texts come in from people where they say that you need to sweep this weekend. You need to get 3 out of 3. Now, I do agree. It would be nice if you're able to sweep the White Sox, considering how bad they are. And it was a huge boost for the Twins and how they've been doing recently, because I think, do they still have a 10? I don't know if they played last night or not, but they had a 10-game win streak going on, and 7 of those came because of the White Sox. So it really could push this team, the Cardinals, in the right direction. But should that be the expectation? I think the biggest thing is you can't get swept against the White Sox.
Oh, no. Can you imagine you guys walking in here on Monday if they get swept by the White Sox?
Good luck. I wouldn't even walk in on Monday.
Conveniently.
I wouldn't even show up.
You're not even going to be here Monday, and that's why.
By the way, Brooke, do you know who you're working with on Monday?
It's going to be Curbs.
Oh, okay.
Chris Kerber, yes.
Awesome. You going to do a lot of hockey talk, I would assume?
Hockey talk. Well, he said that he's also going to be game for a lot of Cardinals talk. Rock is shaking his head over there. So some hockey talk, some Cards talk.
Why would we do any hockey talk?
So who do you have on? Do you know who you got on with hockey talk? I know we got a lot of hockey fans here on 101 ESPN, home of the Blues.
We're not doing any hockey talk. We're not going to have anybody on for hockey talk.
You need to get somebody on for hockey talk.
I think he's being sarcastic.
Why would we talk hockey?
Why not?
By the way, the Cardinals guys that are out on rehab or have been sent down, Dylan Carlson last night 2 for 3 with a homer, and Jordan Walker 0 for 4 down to 154 already down at Memphis. And Thomas Jacey, I'm going to wait until we get him up here to learn how to say his name. But he
You're
walked
saying it right.
So Jacey?
Yes.
Thank you, Brooke. And Sem Robertson?
Here's the thing, is that with Sim, you can actually go through lots of interviews with him where he is introducing himself, and it has changed over the years of how he does it. I don't know if he's just doing this for us Americans, where maybe we can understand it a little bit easier, but the latest interview that I heard when he was on MLB Network, it was pronounced Sim Robertson.
Okay, good. So we'll go with that. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 6 hits, struck out 6, and walked only 1. And Robertson's earned run average down at Memphis is down to 1.77. He's 4-0 on the season.
See, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That would put him in line for Steven Matstart, potentially. Steven Matz, I believe, would go game 2 potentially of that series. They're mixing up the rotation for this weekend. One guy we know that will be in there for sure is Lance Lynn and Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray going tonight. Say it again, Lynn, Gibson, and Gray, 10-6. The others, 4-11. So somebody needs to step up in that place by Steven Matz, and Michaelis has got to be a little bit better as they move forward in the season.
And by the way, we should have more information today about Steven Matz because he got his MRI on his back yesterday. So it'll be interesting to hear what is said. Now, what would be worst case scenario in this situation with Steven Matz?
That he would have to go on the IL with a back injury.
Yeah, that would be worst case, I would assume.
For him, you hate to put it this way, but can the performance be any worse?
And what's the leash on that? How long of a leash does he have? Let's just say he was healthy. You know, you get to the end of May, and if he's pitching like he has been, you can't live with that every 5th day. So it's something to think about with one of these guys potentially making a start or two if he goes on the IL.
That's why I wouldn't be surprised that Matthew Liberatore might get a shot back in the starting rotation if this is just a short stint for Steven Matz.
I like Liberatore in the bullpen. I
do too.
I don't think you mess with him. I think it's an option, but I wouldn't move him. I think he's found a home in the bullpen. He's been really good there, and that's not to say that they won't. I mean, maybe it is something that they're looking at right now, or go to a bullpen start, and he's the guy that gives you 3 innings from the right out of the chute. But I don't think in the long term I would look at him in the rotation, at least not yet. He's found a home and looks good in the bullpen.
Yeah, and boy, we talk about the three-headed monster. You add Liberatore to that group. And, all things considered, the way he pitched in New York on Sunday was brilliant, giving you 3 innings. You need a guy like that. And Romero's not going to do that. Kittredge isn't going to do that. Helsley's not going to do that. So he can be your 4th big weapon out of the bullpen, too.
And if you want to go to a bullpen start, he can give you innings. He can give you multiple innings. But I thought his appearance in Detroit, too, in game 1 of the doubleheader, that was another reason you won that game, because he kept you off the board.
And here's the thing is that I don't disagree. I like him a lot in the bullpen, but I'm just thinking about to John Mozeliak when he mentioned that they want to have one pitcher who's kind of a swingman role, and I feel like Libby could fit that potentially just in this tight situation. Also, this is a good point from the 314. Worst case on Matz, nothing is wrong. LOL. And that would be bad considering how poorly.
What, Randy was referring to, I think.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a reason for this, because he was a good pitcher. He was a good pitcher with the Mets. He was a good pitcher with the Blue Jays, and he's had his moments here, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't happen on a regular basis, or a nearly close to enough regular basis.
Changeup. His changeup in his first 2 starts was really effective. I was just blown away at his changeup in the first start against the Dodgers. I thought it looked great. We know he can get a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball, but is he willing to go inside on right-handed batters? And that's something that Liberatore is doing, mixing in his curveball with a 96 to 97 mile an hour fastball and a willingness to go in. And that's what I look at with Steven Matz. That against right-handers and his changeup as well.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy, and that's the Rush Hour Reset. Coming up, we're going to give away some Cardinal tickets for Tuesday night. And we've got rock and roll here on 101 ESPN.
Great news. We've extended Swiss Air Heating and Cooling's best deal of the year. Save money at SwissAirSTL.com.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Massage Envy. I get my massages all the time at Massage Envy, and it is such a great item to enhance your health, getting massage at Massage Envy. And we all want mom to be able to relax, and we all want mom to be able to be healthy. So when you get the opportunity to give mom something special, how about the gift of relaxation? With a gift card from Massage Envy. With Mother's Day coming up, there's nothing better than you can give her than a spa day. What do you get the person who gives the most? Flowers are sweet, sure. Candy is great, but you know what she'd really like? Some well-deserved me time. That's ME, Massage Envy, to enjoy a relaxing massage, customized facial, or total body stretch session. It's a thoughtful gift that encourages mom to put herself first for a change. Visit your nearest Massage Envy franchise location now through May 12th and pick up a gift card and a special Mother's Day offer. Valid at participating locations while supplies last. Get mom the gift of relaxation at Massage Envy, where better begins.
If your budget needs to be rescued, I've got the perfect place for you. It's Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. They just activated their May Day deals, and it runs all throughout the month of, well, you get it. It's May. That's right. Specifically designed to make upgrading into a new car easier and more affordable. Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum has a couple of different incentives that you can use on select new Nissan vehicles, including 0% APR and payment terms all the way up to 84 months, up to $5,000 off MSRP on new Nissan models, and no down payment needed and 3 months of no payments. That way you could give your wallet a break. As always, all new Nissans come with their exclusive complimentary lifetime warranty, complimentary 1-year maintenance, and 30-day return promise. And when it comes to Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, they have over 700 vehicles all in one location, so you can rest assured that you will find the perfect vehicle for the style and budget that fits you. Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, AutoCentersNissan.com.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Inside the studio, normally on the TV on the left, we've got 3 TVs. Normally the TV on the left has us on the YouTube channel. Right now we've got a burning fireplace with crackling flames.
And now we're in space.
Now we're in space.
Can I ask you a question, Randy?
Yes, sir.
I'm always curious. You always say rock and roll, and you don't do rock and roll.
Okay, did you ever see the Blues Brothers movie?
Oh, 1,000 times.
What kind of music you like here?
I got you now.
We like both kinds, country and western. You're right.
That's good.
So that's where that comes from.
I just always was curious.
Okay, that's a little homage to the Blues Brothers movie.
I like that.
Yeah. Thanks for noticing.
I just was curious about it. Not that it's wrong. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
Because I don't even think about it. It's so second nature now.
It just goes rock And roll. Yeah. And I'm always like, where's rock and roll?
Yeah.
You know.
One of the great movies of all time. If you haven't seen the Blues Brothers movie,
awesome.
It is really, really good.
Holds up today, too.
It really does. Hey, 101 ESPN has your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash game, Cardinals and Mets. And it's the next Bud Bash game of the 2024 season. It includes a limited edition Tony Womack bobblehead. You can get all the details on all of this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games now at cardinals.com/promotions. Or you can text in now to win this 4-pack of tickets to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO, and win Budweiser Bash tickets for the Tony Womack night versus the Mets on May 7th, this coming Tuesday night. And all you have to do is answer this question from Matthew Rocchio.
All right, I'm bringing back the grab bag giveaway because I'm tired of wasting trivia questions.
Okay, you got it.
This is trying to bother me because I just came up with another solid one. I'm like, this could have been a fight question. All right, Tony Womack stole 72 bases in 1999. 72 bases. Since the year 2000, there's only been 2 players who have stolen over 70. Ronald Acuna did it last year. Everyone knows about that. But the highest stolen base mark since the turn of the century is 78. Set in 2007. Who stole that many bases?
Oh, I like this one a lot. Okay.
Tony Womack stealing 72 bases is wild to me. Like, I never had a concept in my mind of him as he had 52, 16, and 72 in 3 straight years.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
That's pretty darn good.
As we've been going through this Tony Womack down memory lane kind of thing in rock and roll, he's a pretty damn good player, man.
Really good player.
You know, some of these stats have really surprised me.
And we got him, we being the Cardinals, he was coming off of Tommy John surgery, and the Red Sox didn't really give him an opportunity in spring training, even though he thinks he was ready, and got traded to the Cardinals right at the end of spring training, and wound up having a really good year as the Cardinals leadoff hitter.
I think I have the answer to this question.
By the way, yesterday we got out before we said the answer. Don't say
I can't reveal it.
Yesterday, before we got out, before we were able to say the answer, Scott Rowland in 2004 had 1 more RBI than Albert Pujols. Pujols had 124, and Rowland had 125.
Am I allowed to give the answer here or not?
Not yet, no.
But I'm curious.
No, we gotta wait. We gotta wait for more people to guess.
I had 2 people I was thinking of, but I think I'm right with the one.
I've got a guess too.
Don't
shortstop.
Don't.
No. I'm not going with the shortstop. Oh, but there is a good. You know what? There is a good guess there too. There's a really good guess.
Let's do this segment, and then at the end,
when you hit a home run, there's a big apple that comes up.
I swear to God, so help me, Danny. I'll come across this table.
There was a stadium that used to literally move when the crowd got. You know, the Beatles played there.
Oh yeah.
So did
they
the
played
shortstop.
baseball in RFK Stadium?
No, not
so
talking
here's
RFK.
what was going on yesterday in the
Actually,
NBA.
They did.
Did they really?
I did a game there,
Senators?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
When they first moved from Montreal back to the States.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. So last night, we already talked about it, the weird move from Patrick Beverley in the postgame to deny ESPN producer Melinda Andrews to interview him and be in the scrum. And here was the audio, and the initial thing happens first. They start asking him some questions, then at the very end of the clip, you'll hear, honestly, what in my opinion is the more damning part of what happens here. Here's the clip from Patrick Beverley last night.
Here. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Before I finish. Yeah. You subscribe to my pod?
Do I subscribe to you? I do not subscribe.
So you can't interview me then.
Okay,
No disrespect.
Well, Jamal is here.
You subscribe? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, there were a couple times within a bucket or two. In previous games, y'all have been able to kind of get over that hump.
With the mic out.
Was it anything they did in particular, or was it just one of those where the bucket didn't go down, there wasn't the stop, they made one? What kind of prevented that you all from being able to get over, kind of like you have in the past?
You'll move that mic, please, or just get out the circle, please, for me, please, ma'am. If you're not subscribed to my pod, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's some scumbag stuff right
That
there
is
from Pat Beverley.
Also, mind you, this was after he launched a basketball at 2 fans. Was it 2 fans or multiple fans? But he did it twice. That is absolutely insane. And here's the thing is I get that, and I saw some people pointing out on social media that, media members, like, they don't deserve all this different kind of stuff, or maybe different things like that. Like, that the players don't owe the media members answers or anything like that. But that's not the right way to handle that situation. Just because somebody doesn't subscribe to your podcast, she's not allowed to even have her mic in the interview scrum with you. That's not a professional way to handle that. Also, if I was the other reporters, I would honestly be like, okay, what is the point of talking to him right now? He's obviously not in a good place. After launching the ball at fans in the stands, why would you even need to talk to him afterwards?
How come he doesn't ask the other reporters if they subscribe to his pod?
Yeah, there's not a chance every single one of those reporters
That's a great question.
subscribe to his pod. And to your point, Brooke, those people are wrong. It is his, like, it's literally part of the reason he gets paid is to do post-game media. That's part of the reason he makes money. He literally is obligated to talk to the media after an event that he played in. That's part of the game. That's part of it. So yes, he's obligated.
Yeah, and the thing is, I know that he's obligated, but some people point out, like, oh, well, media members think that they don't deserve this or that. Like, you've seen some in the past, and it's just kind of like, dude, that is not the right way to handle that. He obviously was in a mood. I'm interested to see what the NBA does, because that is such a bad look. The fact that all happens in one night, what do you do with him moving forward?
Well, and he has a history of bad behavior. He's got some issues, clearly. And number one, you have to make sure that from a personal standpoint that he's okay. He's got problems, right? He's got issues. But the other thing is he needs to be punished, because what you're saying, if you're Patrick Beverly, Pat Bev, and you're telling a media member, you can't interview me, I'm not going to give you information unless you subscribe to my pod, you're telling every NBA fan that you don't get any information unless you subscribe to my pod. What he did there was advertise his podcast in a really unsavory way, but basically what he's telling every NBA fan is, yeah, you don't get any information from me unless you subscribe to my pod.
Can I answer the question, Rock? Am I allowed to answer? I'm very curious.
We have to get out here in a minute, so you can. Yes,
I'm so curious if I'm right on this.
You're right.
Jose Reyes?
It is, in fact, Jose Reyes.
Okay.
2007, he stole 78 bases.
See, I can't believe Randy didn't go, Jose.
That's because I thought it was Juan Pierre.
That'd have been a good guess, though.
Yeah, that's why.
You got a surprising amount of Jacoby Ellsbury guesses, which is not a bad guess. I'm proud of people for actually thinking that. I wouldn't have thought of Ellsbury off the top of my head. I would have gone.
Me neither.
I would have said Rajah Davis probably would have been my second guess.
I would not have gone Rajah Davis.
He had like 3 or 4 40, 50, 60 steal seasons.
I got so frustrated when the Cardinals didn't outbid the Yankees for Jacoby Ellsbury. It was such a great contract.
Yeah, that one kind of blew up in their face, didn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Hey, you've been on your phone. What's going on over there?
I was reading the Pat Bev Twitter stuff.
Oh, okay.
You were saying,
Yeah.
I know, we already had on the YouTube chat to say somebody said, oh no, somebody was mean to reporters. Come on now.
No, it was one human being who was doing their job was extremely disrespectful to another human being who was also trying to do their job. And I'm pretty sure if you see that in any other walk of life, you would agree that the person being disrespectful is in the wrong. Just because you cloud it up with media and athlete doesn't change the fact that it's two people who are going to work, and one of them is being an ass.
He launched a basketball at fans. This is all in the same night.
I actually laughed when that happened. Threw a basketball at a woman's
Why'd you laugh
face,
at that?
but missed.
I couldn't help it.
Yep. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
I did. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Oh, yeah, we will. Daniel, great job as always. You have a great weekend.
You too. Pleasure.
We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, don't just have a great weekend, have an American weekend.
That's right.
Hey, there's a lot of great things that my friends at Gutter Pros do, including leaf protection. You get gutters put in, and you should automatically get leaf protection. But even if your gutters are good, go to gutterpros.com and learn about what they do in terms of leaf protection. They'll come out to your house. They'll provide you an estimate so that you don't have leaves filling up your gutters and causing water to come over the edge of your gutters. And if that is the case, if you get home, we had a big rainstorm last night. Apparently, we're going to have another one today. And the water is coming over the side of your gutters. Call Gutter Pros, and they can provide you with great leaf protection.